Greetings, gamers, and welcome to the 248th live stream from the Misfit Gamer Studios. I am your host, Vortex, and this is D&D Discussions. On today's episode, we are going to be talking about onboarding brand new players and how you guys run Session Zeros, or at least how we run Session Zeros. Sorry, I just did a TikTok on this. So if you want to see a little bit more about that, you can go on TikTok, but we're going to talk about it here as well. Yeah, but that's it. We're going to do that, and maybe we'll play some games. But let's get that. Join the voice chat. Get Kage up in this heezy.
Kage's in the chat.
All right. What up? What up?
Alrighty. Shalom, my friends. What's going on, Cart? Yeah, we got some crab legs. We got some all kinds of goodies for you guys today. So I'm excited. I was talking with Vortex a little bit before stream, talking about how I'm kind of excited for this topic because I don't often get the opportunity to actually have a session zero with a lot of my players. It's very much just kind of random for me. So getting to do this kind of stuff is actually kind of nice. And see what other people do, see what Vortex does. I mean, I've experienced Vortexes personally, but kind of understand the process more from his perspective because I didn't know shit about D&D back then.
Yeah, and I mean, I've also changed quite a bit over the last 10 years. And you started, what, 8 years ago? No, I mean, 2018, 2019. So yeah, about, six, 7, maybe 8 years ago. Deadass would definitely watch you two mess up a seafood platter.
You know what I just saw?
What?
Hold
on. You want us to go IRL live stream us eating?
Today.
Huh?
Oh my gosh.
What happened?
A week ago today was my D&D birthday in High Point.
Oh. Yeah, Vixie actually had to go through and recount.
1 week ago today.
That's actually good that you bring that up because Vixie had to go back through and count all of their birthdays and other aspects because it's been a long time since they knew how many wishes they had stocked up. So maybe that's something that you should go through and read your character sheet, and then you should go through and count since you started.
Yeah.
Because you get the one of your anniversary, so you get your 1 year gamer anniversary, right? Like in game, like you as a player get a 1 year anniversary, but you also get one for every birthday you've had since you started gaming. So you get that one plus every birthday you've had in between now and when you started gaming. So that plus any you've received for other reasons. So you should go through and count that
in game.
Because Vixie had like 14 or 15.
God bless. How a world can change with a couple of those. That's crazy.
Well, keyword there was had them.
See, that's what I'm curious. I want to know what was like how many you went down, and that will tell me a lot about how important whatever it is you were trying to do was.
Pixie.
So
do you remember at your max how many wishes you had racked up over the years?
12.
Was it that one? Was it 12 or 13, maybe 14 or something like that? Yeah, over a dozen.
I burned.
How many? You burned over 10 of them in one wish?
Yeah.
I fucking knew it. That's some crazy shit.
You're gonna have to talk to her. You're gonna have to talk to her this weekend about it. If she wants to spill the beans, but yeah.
Gosh.
I want to say she had closer to like 13 or 14, and I think she burned at least 11 or 12 of them.
All I want to know is was it like an item? Like, was it something physical that you were trying to acquire, or was this more like situational?
I can't talk any further beyond that.
Fair enough. Valid. I will inquire. Inquiring minds want to know. That's what I'm saying.
And inquiring minds may. You just have to ask the right person. Ask the right questions to the right person. You know how this works. All right. Well, apparently, Cart says that we should do like an IRL stream where we go and just like order a bunch of food and eat it. I don't know why that's entertaining, but apparently that would be entertaining to some people.
Here's the deal. If you want me to mess up seafood, we're gonna have to go eat sushi because that's the only type of seafood I really fuck with. Like, I don't really go sit down and eat crabs or shrimp and stuff like that. But if we want to go to like a sushi spot, listen, I will live the life for as long as we can.
D&D dinner and discussions.
D&D dinner and discussion. That's wild. That's a lot of D's.
I mean, it'd be kind of cool if we could find the right place that would be like quiet enough that we could actually properly do it in and have good audio quality. I'd do it. Oh, we just gotta find one of those places. Like if we could find an all you can eat or like a really nice sushi spot, or even like a really nice like a
where
fish
I really
boil.
wanted to go?
Oh, that has a private room.
I think there's like a buffet not too far from where I know we could go. I'll talk to you about it and we'll see what you think.
Okay. Wait, are you talking about the one that's the automated one that has the
I don't think so. I've never actually been in myself, so I don't know what it's like inside.
I'm wondering if we've been there before.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
All right, I'm down. All right, so we'll start here. We'll start with today's short because it relevant. Yeah, I already got 100 views on it.
Okay.
Great, I posted this right before. And now it's time. So I've been doing this new series.
Crazy.
I've been doing this new series for NPC fundamentals, or for just fundamentals in general, right? So I'm trying to do this new TikTok series where I'm getting more understanding of what the general vibe is from the community. I'm trying to just change my general persona and a lot of the vibe that I'm doing on TikTok. The community's gotten really toxic, so I'm just trying to like change it up and trying to find different creators I want to like do things with, because it's just some of the ones I was following just really weren't going the direction I wanted it to go. So this is where I'm going, where I'm starting from. Excuse me. The first series, it was a 5. So the last week I did a 5-part series for NPC fundamentals. So talking about the various ways that I look at NPCs and how they should function within the game, how important they are, and just kind of, ask the community about what they think NPCs are. So the new one, now that I'm going to be running some new games, because this weekend I have an onboarding session with some friends that may be interested in playing further. So this is just kind of a new topic, right? So yeah, we'll listen to this one real quick. And this can kick off kind of like the conversation, I guess.
I love it.
All right. For a brand new fundamental series. And now it's time for a brand new fundamental series on onboarding and session zeros. Greetings gamers, I am Vortex from MisfitGamersStudios. I've been playing TTRPGs for 15 years and I've been running my own setting for over a decade. And in this series, I want to get the conversation started about what the community thinks are the fundamentals of onboarding brand new players and running session zeros. For me personally, I do see this as a 2-step process. The onboarding process typically being a one-on-one with brand new players. It's an opportunity for me to introduce them to High Point, give them an idea of how the gameplay runs, what the world is like, and set their expectations. It also gives me an opportunity to make sure they know what differences they'll run into gaming with me than in other experiences they may have had in the past. The second part of that, the actual session zero, comes into the part of actually introducing them to the campaign they'll be running and the other players that they'll be playing with. Typically in that onboarding session, I also try to get them pretty fleshed out with an individual character. This way the player has an idea of what kind of character they want to run. They know what they want to do with that character. We establish them as an individual. The session zero is when I establish the party together and I establish the story arc. We establish if any of the backstories connect, why the overarching campaign matters to all of them. And for me, this really works because it gives it an opportunity for the players to get more invested. I now understand what each of them are here for. I also know a little bit more about how they're going to play the game, and it makes it easier for me to flesh out a better story and a better story arc that they will all be more invested into. But I'm really curious, is that what you do? Do you make them all build their characters all in the same room? Do you try to have them balance, or do you let them individualize and then you bring it all together at session 0? I want to know, so get in the comments and let's get that conversation started. And now, so yeah, so that's kind of just a basic introduction on my fundamental concept that I've always tried to do with High Point. Is my very first introduction is usually to the individual, right? I approach you, let you know what I do. I run my own setting, and we usually talk about it, right?
Yep.
Hey, I play D&D, or the core fundamentals of D&D second edition. However, there are some things that are different. I don't do this, I do this. It's a lot more narrative, blah blah blah. It's a lot of high level stuff, but it's very, what are you interested? How would you play? Well, let's assume that you're, imagine that you want to play a fantasy game, and let's say your character woke up. Are you in a castle? Are you in a forest? Like, where would, you want to be somewhere in a fantasy world? Where would you be? Oh, you're in a dungeon already? Cool. What are you? Like, what would you want? I just kind of start fleshing out, some ideas of, okay, well, what if I wanted to be a wizard? Be like, okay, cool. There's several types of magic in High Point that you can interact with, and each one comes with pros and cons. Not only how you react with it, but how powerful it is and what it can do. Oh, you want to be a fighter? Okay, do you want to be weapons? Do you want to be martial arts? Do you not want to do fighting? Do you like more dialogue? Do you just want to be someone who talks to people and manipulates things from the background, and you don't actually want to have physical fights? All of that is usually what happens when I first approach you, right? That's what happened when I first approached you. That's what happens when I first approach everybody else. That's what this weekend is going to be for a lot of the new players, is an opportunity for them to ask questions. What makes yours different? What do you mean it's D&D and not D&D? What can I expect if I do that? Usually the questions involve of, what do I need? What do I need to know? One of the benefits for me is I say, you don't need anything. You don't bring anything. I don't expect you to carry anything. That's all up to you. You choose how much you want to invest personally, physically, everything. What do you need to know? Absolutely nothing. Everything that you need to know, you can learn from me. That, what I think, is also something that sets me apart from a lot of DMs, is I don't get tired of questions. Yes, I don't want to answer the same question every gaming session from the same person, but I absolutely do not mind answering new questions from people. I don't mind having to tell about the lore. I don't mind having to explain how a character sheet works. I don't mind explaining how to level up. I don't mind explaining how to build a character. I don't mind explaining what options there are, because for me, I could give you a book that has 1,000 options in it and let you think your way through it all, or we could have a conversation and I could direct you right to the thing that's most interesting to you based on your ideas and your thoughts, not hours and hours of you trying to be like, well, that sounds good, but I don't like that. Oh, well, that sounds good, but I don't like that. And so, yeah, that first introduction session, it's not even the session 0, my first onboarding, and usually this can happen over the course of, multiple meetings, right? But the onboarding, the onboarding phase is always one-on-one. This is also typically the time that I run the scenario with the individual. More often than not, that's one-on-one. So they run the scenario, which is basically the High Point tutorial, if you want, right? It removes the dice, it removes the need for dice and character sheet, and it fully focuses on the experience of High Point and the interaction. It gives me a chance to feel out what kind of player they are, and it gives them a chance to feel out what, touchy, it's kind of like, the tactileness of an escape room. You get to actually like understand how the puzzles move and work, and understand what you're going to actually face in the game without having to worry about a character sheet and dice. You just kind of jump right into it. And that's also when we get the idea, start planting the seeds. What do you want to do, right? That's when we started talking to, about Dovd with your situation. This is usually, like I said in the video, I established the individual, because that's exactly what, in my opinion, because High Point is this living, breathing world, right? It is a West March style open world campaign. So in my opinion, establishing your character isn't just, let's fit it with the party so you guys can accomplish the deed and you guys don't double down. No, it's a bunch of individuals who you got to that stage first before the party. So let's establish that as a character, right? And to me, that's fundamental. That's fundamental to get the player interested, involved, and connected with their character. Because if you throw them into a party, you kind of ham-fist them sometimes into a situation that doesn't let them be connected. But if everyone individually feels a part of the world, right? They know kind of where they came from. They know that the things that they've chosen up until this point in their character development or their character creation has somehow affected the world and been affected by the world. That way they understand, okay, so I generally want to be this kind of character. I kind of want to approach the world like this. This is the personality I want to walk in with, but I still don't know what I'm doing. That's stage one. That stage two is, all right, now that you have been established as an individual, now that you've been introduced and you kind of understand and you're like, yeah, I'm vibing with this. Session zero is, okay, now that we've established that, let's establish you in the world. Now let's establish, where do you fit to begin the game and the campaign? Where does the story begin? Where is chapter one? When you open this book, where are you? Why are you there? And what's going to lead you to chapter two? You know, with Vixie and Ness, the establishment was a lot of her character arc, her family arc, and what her character eventually would become. And then we plopped her right where she wanted to be, which was right at the beginning of her potential adventuring age, as of her location. But it was actually a friend coming in to game with us that they did in order to do a backstory that they wanted to do together. We did a flashback episode. So we did a session where it was a flashback to their past, a situation where they were both involved together. And it was in that flashback episode that caused Vixie's character Ness to discover the main story arc that is to this day still the primary driver of Ness's entire campaign arc. But that was just a offshoot thing that happened by chance because somebody created a character and wanted to game. They wanted to game together, right? So two individual characters were made, and they both wanted to, intersect for a while, and then they split, right? Ness went on to continue solo gaming. What's going on, Hoylepa? Ness went on, Vixie went on to game with Ness solo and continued on. The other character, ended up not playing. The player never showed up again, so the character went off by themselves. Hydrate and Apostle Check, thank you so much. Get some of that void juice. But yeah, so that session zero is really about, after we've established you as an individual, what's going to get you now that the book has started? What gets you to the next page? What gets you to the next chapter? And that's where the other players get involved. So yeah, so that's kind of, again, two phases what I'd like to do. And that's kind of how I start, how I really onboard players.
When I'm hearing you talk about this, I'm almost envisioning in my mind the difference between two types of TV shows. You have we'll say South Park and or Family Guy style TV show, where it almost feels like every episode is encased all in itself. And yes, they're the same characters week after week, but each episode could almost be its own really miniature movie. It's going to start, end, and everything's wrapped up and concluded by the end of it. Mm-hmm. And yes, there will be elements that are affected by the past, but really the story will be callbacks. This episode and this episode only.
Yeah, you might get callbacks, sure. You might get Easter eggs.
So there are also other shows that are a lot more long form, where everything a part of it is incredibly important to what happens in the next episode. If you start in the middle, if you start at season 2, you're gonna have no idea what the fuck is happening in a show like this. There's a show I watched I really enjoyed called Fringe that was like that a lot. There was I think my sister used to watch the show called Lost, and I feel like it was very much everything's tied into everything. And so stuff like that, I feel like that's more of the vibe that your world goes in, that your world brings people a place for. But I do know that a lot of the players that I've interacted with in the past almost look to interact in the former, right? Where it's more of just episodic. It's hey, every time we come sit down for a session, here's today's episode. And you might have a multi-parter episode, but at the end of the day, it's that story's been wrapped up and now you got a new story,
Yeah, it's so
to
same
go play
characters,
with.
but you're
So
gonna time jump
I
a
find
lot
it,
and go to the next big thing.
yeah, yeah, and I just find it very interesting, like people's reasonings for wanting to play and when they actually go and try and get something out of the game, how you can tell what they're looking for versus what they actually end up finding. And I will say, I think people with like absolutely no idea of what's going on in D&D are way more open to uh, those more long forms, those more invested, elements of D&D. People that are like super familiar with it, they've probably been, I don't want to say conditioned, but shown that this is what D&D is about, and so they like constantly are thinking about it in that way. And so
Oh
I'm like,
yeah. Well, and again,
well,
it's
I'm
it's
not
it's what
mad
I
at
call
it.
player
I
entitlement.
wish more people that were open to both sides of the coin.
Absolutely. And I think again, one of the biggest differences
Yeah,
in the way I
yeah,
onboard players too, versus how the current uh establishment of D&D and a lot of TTRPGs do. I don't want to say a lot of TTRPGs actually. I don't know a lot of the modern TTRPG standards for leveling, but one of the things that sets High Point aside from D&D, right? One of the things that elevates it beyond D&D, and it's a bigger callback to AD&D, but the way that I've adopted it is it's nearly impossible. I mean, I wouldn't say it's impossible. It's much more difficult because a lot of my references are hard to find, right? It's not as easy as 5th edition, so it's just in general hard to find it. But also, by the way that it works, not only because it's a long form game and it just doesn't go as quick, there's not an easy way to plan out what you're going to be several levels from now. ADHD, yeah, exactly. And what I mean by that is the reason why I like High Point, the reason why I like the way that I've developed the character is you can think of like what your end goal is, right? You could be like, I want to be the strongest wizard. I want to be able to create the strongest 9th level spell. I want to be able to learn 10th level spells. I want to be a god. I want to just have all the money. You can set those kind of goals, right? But unlike 5th edition, you don't really know at 14th level all the things you're going to be able to be able to accomplish. Like you could go out of your way to know how your character's going to level up, and you know that you're going to get so many proficiency points, and you can research the proficiencies. Like you could plan it, but at the same time, in-game opportunities drastically change that, right? Like you could pre-plan it, but some things you plan for, what if you don't find the person to teach you? And you can't get it, right? Or vice versa. What if you've made all these plans and then in game you're given an opportunity that screws with those plans, but it's obviously a better idea, right? So the idea that by the time, because of the customization I've built in, by the time you're actually able to get to say 10th level, knowing what to expect isn't really viable. Because even if like you just fast traveled yourself to a 10th level, you'd probably miss out on a lot. You know what I mean? Like you could probably just start at 10th level, sure, but you'd be a lot more basic. Yeah. I think you'd be a lot more basic than if you adventured to 10th level. You know what I mean? Like Dov to 10th level is way more complicated and way more awesome than if we had just made him at 10th level to begin with.
Yeah, it's because all the stuff you would do at like a session 0, you would have to do that for 10 levels. Like all of the lore of how you got to where you are, of how you became the person that you are, you would have to do all of that like in character creation. And there's so much, like when you create a character, like yes, you talk about their backstory, like you don't go through like an entire month. All right, what happened on day 1 of this month of their life? What happened on day 2 of this month? Like you don't go through it that granularly. You give an overall story, you find like vortex points or like central parts of their backstory that are very pivotal or very important to their character and everything like that. But outside of that, like the majority of what you're doing is just trying to get to an understanding of who they are. But when you
Yeah.
actually experience and when you actually gain from like level 1 all the way to level 10, like not only are you understanding who you are, but you're walking into what you are, like how you're able to do the stuff you can do. Like maybe you randomly met this demigod and you multi-classed into something you never would have multi-classed. pressed into before because of this incident. Maybe you talked to some genie and you tricked him into giving you a wish where you now have a unique ability that you never would have had throughout any of your progressions. And that because you have access to that, it completely changed how you wanted to continue to progress your character. Like,
Yeah.
all of these things are so much a part of being in the game rather than just being the thing, right? And so I don't know. I got a lot of respect for that process.
Okay, so well, I started with my two-phase process, which I think was pretty, like, I think it covers a lot actually in terms of, again, how I look at onboarding.
Absolutely.
I think it that really stemmed from a lot of the commentary I see on TikTok really comes around from people. A lot of people are like, no, everybody creates it at the table all at once. And I'm like, that must be daunting. And honestly, I feel like, again, sometimes that puts too much emphasis, in my opinion, the way that I run, again, not in a D&D or TTRPG opinion, but the way that I run High Point, it would actually be a detriment to force everybody to make their characters together. Not because of like time or anything else like that, but in mentality, you would no longer be creating individuals. You'd specifically be creating a party for the campaign. And what I want to do is, the way that High Point, in my opinion, works best is when it's individuals deciding to work together instead of a party built to work together. Does that make sense? For me, there is a key difference between individuals
Yes.
coming together and a party that was built to work together.
So I'll say this because one of the biggest things that I do ensure when it comes to any D&D group that I put together, and I think for this specifically for me is because I deal with teens and younger people a lot more, is one of the things that they need to have coming to my table is a reason for adventuring. Like, your character needs to have a reason for doing what it is that they're doing. Why are you doing this job? Like, yeah, you're a cool, badass, like, warrior, but, like, why are you a warrior? Why is it important for you to be a warrior? What are you trying to achieve as this warrior? Like, what is it that you're adventuring for? And the reason for that is because when you know what you're adventuring for, you have a reason to continue moving forward. You have a reason to continue participating in the game. Now, I take it upon myself to intertwine every single one of those reasons into each other. So if I have a party of people that I know these people are going to be coming back to me on a regular basis and we are going to game, like, this is our gaming group. If I have that, then I will incorporate their reasons for gaming to inevitably cross paths. So if you continue walking towards your reason for gaming, you will inevitably need to and desire to have a reason to continue to interact with these people. Because that, for me, helps a lot with the issue that sometimes occurs where certain people will do things against somebody else just because that's what my character would do, not recognizing that you're shooting yourself in the foot. Like, yeah, you could say my character wouldn't adventure with these people anymore, but then you're just leaving the group and saying, bye, I'm going to go do something else. And now I got to go either DM for you by yourself or find a way to bounce back and forth between two stories. No, like, you want to make sure the people that are here together are actually here to game together, you know? And so that's one of the biggest things that
I think that's a maturity thing. To be honest, like, I know a lot of people talk about that. I've seen that online. A lot of people talk about it, but reality is that what people don't say, and what the harsh truth is that's just an aspect of maturity. If you have grown-ass adults coming together to play a game like this, and you have that obnoxious one that is obviously disrupting it, but it's in character and it's in game, and they're enjoying it, it's like, to me, that would be like someone coming over to play Monopoly and specifically rushing to buy every property and then making the most ridiculous bets and sales. You know what I mean? Like, it's the person who plays the game with the most efficiency purely to win, or with the intent of their fun is not playing because they don't have confidence they're going to win. so it's easier to meme out the game than it is to try. Because hey, I'm not going to win anyway, so I might as well, make fun of you guys for trying to play the game when we should just be goofing off. Like, go play Cards Against Humanity. Like, to be completely honest, those people just go play Cards Against Humanity because that's all you want. You want to act dumb, you want to play stupid, and you don't want to invest it. And that's, like, again, there's nothing wrong with that. But when you come to a table of other people saying, hey, we want to do this thing, and you sit there and make a mockery of it, you're an asshole. Again, I'm not saying that if you want to go sit with other people and do that, that's totally fine, right? Like, I've played with people, in like team shooters, like Overwatch and stuff. I've played with really competitive people, and I've also played with people where the intent was to go into competitive and very intentionally fuck around, very intentionally goof off, just to fuck around and have, like, it was fun for us to goof off. It wasn't to piss other people off, it wasn't to make other people lose, but that was just our fun, was to go in the game and goof off. But I also played very, very competitively with other groups of people. So to me, there is an understanding of that's the intent to go in with, right? But it would be different if I went to my competitive group when they were like, hey guys, we're going to try to make diamond tonight. And I'm like, yeah, let's do it. And then I choose the meme character. And then I go around fucking around and they're like, dude, like, we just lost, what the hell? And I'm just like, oh, but I'm just having fun, guys. Wrong time, wrong place. And that would make me the asshole. Even though what I'm doing isn't specifically the problem. Like, again, I'm not necessarily doing anything wrong. I'm just doing it at the wrong time. So that's the problem to me, is it's about maturity.
Yeah.
You can't see
with people who haven't agreed to that mindset.
Exactly. And that's where the maturity comes from. If you aren't mature enough to put your insecurity aside and level with the rest of the group, if you can't just, get on that same plane or that same existence, then you're the problem. You know what I mean? Like, that you're the problem. And they have every right to want you gone. We do have some questions, though. One for each of us, actually. It's the same question, but it was paid for twice because it's a high point and a Cineverse question. So I got to go get another water, so I'll let you answer first. But the question is, for your campaigns in your respective settings, High Point and Cineverse, do you have any gods that are star-crossed lovers but can't be with each other because either their godhood or things happening within their godhood prevents it? I will be right back as Kage answers for Cineverse.
So here's the deal. The Cineverse is still a baby verse. We'll put it that way, right? There's still a lot of things in development, but let's put it this way. There is now, like, I love this idea. I did have a pair of, we'll say, separated deities that had a child that they're like kind of, it's an NPC that like exists in the world. It was somebody else had like this character idea, and I thought it was the coolest character idea, so I totally ran with it. And it was basically that these deities are like fighting over their child, or like this particular individual. It's like, hey, I want you to follow this god of mercy and love, or I want you to follow the rules of like war and destruction. And so they're all each vying for their kid's attention. One's like a cleric and one's a warlock, and they have different power sets that they give them and stuff like that. So I love like playing with like these deific relationships in very unique, different ways. But I like the star-crossed lovers kind of like, hey, we're happen to be on like opposite sides of whatever the case may be, and so we can't end up being together, and so we got to find different ways to do things. I think that's a very, very cool idea. I'm gonna have to play with exactly how I would want to like embody that. You know what I mean? Like, how do I want to represent that specifically in the Cineverse? Because there are a lot of deities that aren't even really, like, they're more forces than deities, but they are absolutely deities, right? Like, they're not necessarily like physical like beings with like that you can like interact with and talk to. I mean, like you can, but like also that's just not exactly what they are. Like it's really hard for me to explain, but um, I got a lot of my inspiration from Star Trek because I'm a crazy Trekkie, and so like there's this one like living nebula, right? And so it's not like you're gonna walk into this nebula and like have a conversation with it and whatever, but like it definitely has power, has the ability to do things, has the ability to affect the world around it, and so a lot of my deities are very abstract in nature, but I very much love this idea. I'm so glad I'm taking all of these what do you call it our chat and putting it in my log because I'm totally gonna run with this and like work through what that actually looks like. um, I mean, the first thing that comes to mind, it doesn't necessarily exist in the same way as it does in High Point, but High Point has, I'm sure we've talked about it on stream before, but the curtain, right? And so um, I imagine like there's one deity on one side of the curtain and another deity on the other side of the curtain. And for whatever reason, like even deities, like you're almost bound to your respective spaces. Like you don't get to just like jump into this other place like that. So like I would imagine that even Zenith wouldn't be able to just jump to the other side of the curtain whenever they feel like it, right? Like you gotta go the appropriate way. You know what I mean? But anyways, those are my thoughts. I.e., no, but I do now.
Okay, so I do want to get to Hoylepa's comment, but I have to answer my side of the question. So, do I have this in High Point? Absolutely. This is I mean, this is just to me, it's a common trope of storytelling. To have lovers on either side of the war, or for whatever reason, ones that were together that had to be forced apart. So I have actually, funny enough, yes, I do have like the active ones where they're either they were lovers that were immortal and then became gods, or one became a god and then they took on separate, opposing spheres of influence. I've had ones where they were together and then wars happened, so of course they were on opposing sides due to whoever their hierarchies are. I've had ones that have had like the personality, the person, the entity that took the mantle, they love each other, but as gods, one did something just due to the very nature of their godhood. One did something that was an affront to the other. So even though, entity to entity, there's love, but on grounds I have to go to war with you, right? Like, kind of just one of those, like, I can't not go against you. Yeah. But it's like, you know what I mean? It's again, it's that god level understanding of it's not the same rules, right? Like, you did me wrong, and my godhood says I have to do this again, to go after you, kind of thing. But
I'm curious.
Hold on, because hold that question. But yeah, so there's the current ones. Okay. But the fun part about this question is like, are there two that can't be with each other, not just because of like someone else's, but ironically, this is actually what started High Point as it stands right now. The First Great War, I've told you a little bit about this. We've talked about this on stream. My 3 Great Wars? Because we're in Era 4, right? High Point's in its 4th era, right? Because it had 3 Great Wars to end each of its previous eras. So we're in Era 4. The First Great War was caused by this very situation. When I said that, because I mentioned before that the First Great War was caused because of one of the saints feeling betrayed. A lot of the saints felt betrayed. The first creations of Zenith were betrayed by him, and that's what kicked off the First Great War, and basically High Point as we know it now. That betrayal happened because it split 2 of the saints apart that were together, and they can no longer be apart. And it's not for any reason. See, and here's the funny
going over this.
Yeah, but the funny part is like, I leave it ambiguous because that's like a big plot point that is a secret in High Point. Like, that is something that is adventurable. You can learn it. but it's a secret. Like the details are secret because that's like big motivators for gods, right? Like the saints are the first gods. So this is top level, like top secret.
Sure.
The things that happened like before time was time kind of shit. But it's a great question because yes, I do have that now, but it's also that situation of two gods being forced to not be able to be together, that loved each other, was literally what kicked off High Point in Sweden. So yes, I do have that, and it's one of my, I don't want to say it's one of my favorite tropes, but it is a fantastic storytelling device that is amazing to use. And yes, to this day, that god, that saint, is still forced away from each other to this day.
I'm curious if you have anything in your realm, because you mentioned like people might still have love for one another, but they have to act against each other for reasons. I'm curious if there's any scenario where, like, say two people are together and they get up, they go to their respective jobs, they go to war with each other in their respective jobs, and then come home at night and are just like, all right, good night, sweetie, or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, they're able to maintain their relationships despite the conflict that they have to engage in throughout the day.
Yes. A lot of that usually is like, I mean, you'll find that within spies, you know, like playing each side of the thing. But yes, I mean, again, depending upon the level of deity, that would not be abnormal in the world of immortals and deities, right? They work on such a different level of understanding that to mortals that would seem inhuman, right? That would just seem like that's you know, completely against love. But for gods, it's like, but you don't understand. Like, I am the god of such and such. They are the god of such and such. We have to maintain that order. That is our job. And it's not just a job. It is a thing that must be done. It is a balance of the universe. But they are both individualized entities, right? They both have the thing that must be done because that's the position they hold, but they're also still thinking, feeling entities. And to them, that's how they separate it, is because they separate the entity that they love from the position that they hold, right? The mantle is different than the holder of the mantle.
Yeah, that's fair.
So again, it's kind of like, you know, you might love someone, but they're, you know, you may not like what they do for their living, but it's like, can you separate the fact of what they're connected to versus who they are as a person?
That's wild. That's wild. I like that.
We got another question we got a comment from Hoylepa. So one of their biggest problems is they have been forced into being a specific class by the other players. That tells me that that's kind of either a shitty DM or a shitty group. Like, that may be harsh to say. I don't know how close friends they are to you, but that can happen once. Like, I understand if you're trying to do a one shot or if you're trying to do a balanced campaign, and you know, if you weren't really confident or know what you wanted to do, and there was just kind of a leftover position to fill, I get it. But if that happens more than once, or if it's one of those, hey, everyone else got to be exactly what they wanted, but because they got to speak first, everyone were like, yeah, we don't care what you want, like, you have to do this. That's just being shitty. Like, that's really someone wanting to play the main character and the DM not recognizing that that's kind of a shit move.
I'll also ask this. Is this something that is it like everyone at the table agreed that, hey, we should have set roles and everyone should take on those set roles? Like, when you play Rivals, a lot of the times there are roles. There's strategist, there's DPS, there's tank, right? So when you guys are talking about playing, and again, maybe you don't have session 0, maybe you do, but like, do you guys all agree that, like, hey, this is what we want to do? Because if that's the case, then it's like, okay, I'm agreeing to this, and we're all going to work out how we can best, you know, get something we relatively will enjoy, right? You know, like, I'm sure you remember it, being in the military, like, you can put in through different duty stations, and you can usually get like a list of, like, you know, 3 to 10 if they're feeling really generous, and they'll try to get you a place within like your top 3. But if they have to give 2 people their number 3, so that everybody can have a number 3 instead of giving some people a number 1. Like they'll do it that way.
Yeah.
And so like there's ways to play around with working with the people at your table to see if like you can really do that. It's
and here's my hot take. Here's a spicy hot take about this. I'm all for party balance. You know, I get it. Some DMs, some even campaigns, some players, right? Some one shots, some TTRPGs just run on the idea that everyone has to fill a role. And I'm fine with that, right? I've played plenty of TTRPGs where it's you have to choose the fighter, you have to choose the cleric or the healer, or I get that. I don't mind it, again, if that's what everyone knows that they have to do. But I do feel that it is best done when there isn't I feel it's best done when the list to choose from is not equal to the amount of players, because then you get into an issue like Hoidlepper runs into, right? Where you really want to play the tank, but someone grabs the tank, the fighter, the monk, and the wizard, and all that's left is the healer. And that's it. You have to play the healer. Whereas it's better if...
More or less.
What's up?
Do you mean more or less? Like if they're not the same amount, do you think there should be more?
Yes, more. Like as in, if you the thing is that if there are 5 players, there should be more than 5 options to choose from. Because if one player doesn't get the option they choose from, they are forced to an option they may not like. Whereas if there are 5 players and 8 options, that player that didn't get their first, like you were saying, if that player didn't get their first choice, at least they have likely of another choice that's better than the only other choice. Does that make sense? Like,
sure. Yeah.
So that's for me. I prefer the more choices, but I also think that this really is about the DM. Now, granted, some TTRPGs run on it. Like some TTRPGs, their core fundamental is a balanced campaign, where you have to have everybody filled in. Now, in my opinion, that's fine, but it's not necessary. Big distinctive. It is not necessary. And so the fundamental aspect of High Point, why I have that 2-part phase for my onboarding versus session 0, the reason why I do that, the reason why I specifically stated it as I establish the individual, then I establish them within the story arc and why that individual cares, and I establish them with the connection to the party and the other players, right? The reason I do that is because this way, it doesn't matter to me if every single player wants to play a wizard. I've already established them all as individuals. So this way, when I do the individual, when I say, hey, we're going to establish you first, it's because I don't want you influenced by what other people have done. I want you to be influenced by what you want. I don't want you to be like, man, I've always wanted to play a paladin. And then you hear this person is basically playing a barbarian with, all of this crazy, with like totem warrior stuff. And you're just like, oh, so you're the tank? Well, now I don't want to play a paladin. Or if someone's like, hey, man, I already worked out a paladin idea to run a dwarf monk paladin. Guess what? I am running a 6-party campaign dwarf monk paladins. Let's fucking go. But to me, yes, I'm not saying every DM should be capable of that. I'm not saying that should be the standard. But that's why I say it's on the DM to do that. If it's not hard-coded into the TTRPG that it needs to be balanced, it's really on the DM to understand their limitations. If you need a balanced party so you can balance your combats, that's fine. Be very, very specific about that. Let everyone know that you have a very specific mindset of what needs to be filled. Because the idea of having a player forced into a position they don't want to play or a role they don't want to play, to me sounds like either it's the wrong TTRPG or the DM has too many limitations and wasn't capable of accommodating the person. But again, I'm not expecting people to play like I do.
The wrong gaming table.
Yeah. But that's what I say. So for me, yes, if it's not part of the TTRPG, I do think that it is a limitation on the DM. But again, I don't expect people to play like me. I don't expect other DMs out there to be able to run a campaign with, with everybody being the same class, the same, I don't expect that. It's something that sets me apart from other DMs and sets High Point apart from other games. But to me, that's why it's important to do that, right? I mean, think about the orc campaign. I ran an entire campaign of orcs. Like, that's not normal, but also that's a very good concept of a one-shot. But I was able to do it because that made sense, right? No, you all still got to be very, very different while all being limited to
Absolutely.
one concept. So for me, that's why the two-stage onboarding is important, because establishing a character as an individual and then establishing that within the party, that's what makes your role in the party matter, right? You could have two tanks, but is one the aggressor tank or is one the defensive tank? Does one protect themselves and tank damage, or does one protect other people? Like, is one the shield? Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's different things for tanks to do. Are the tanks going to work together and do a back-to-back thing to where they dominate the middle of the battlefield, or are they going to split up and take and flank and take different sides? Is one going to stay back with the squishies while the other one advances with the attackers? There's so many different ways you can play a tank. It doesn't matter if you have more than one on the team, right? I don't think that you need healers. There's ways that you can justify someone having the hookup on healing spells, or being able to hire a traveling healer with you. You know, there's ways that you can get around needing someone to fill a role, in my opinion, right? So
Sure.
that's what I want to. Wow, their chat is going crazy. Hold on, let's get caught up with chat real quick. This, okay. Oh, we have a this or that from Hecate. The spell sequencer or the spell project image. I know project image. Let me look these up real quick. I don't know the first one. And then let me look up project image as well, just to make sure I know. Just to make sure I know the wording on it. Okay, so sequester, 7th level transmutation spell, excuse me.
Project image. Ooh, interesting.
Okay, so sequester hides a willing creature or object from all detection. Upon casting, the target becomes invisible, cannot be targeted from divination spells, and it is immune to remote perception via scrying. If the target is a creature, it enters a state of suspended animation, meaning time ceases to flow and it does not age. The spell lasts until dispelled, but ends if the target takes any damage or a specific condition occurs or becomes visible within 1 mile of the target after 1,000, like something like after 1,000 years. So basically, this thing is a permanent hidey hole.
Okay.
For a time frame. Wow, so funny that you bring this up. That this spell is so important to high play in a lot of different ways.
Until dispelled.
Yeah.
I need a 7th level, but
versus project image, which is 7th level spell as well. Range is 500 miles. It's up to 1 day of concentration. The image can appear at any location the caster is.
Consume 5k of dust.
Yeah.
For each cast.
So the image can appear at any location the caster has seen before, regardless of obstacles. The caster can move the image up to twice their speed using an action. Spells within a range of touch or greater can originate from the image. Physical interaction reveals the illusion. If the image takes damage, the spell ends. The problem, there's no way, because with project image, it does me no good, because the best I could do is project an image nearby and maybe confuse someone. But in the real world, I don't even get to like see through it. I don't get to do anything through it. I don't really feel like I get much benefit. Like you get, like, I guess you can cast I mean, but again, if this is the only spell I know, I can't use the cast spells through it. Now, granted, I could.
Concentrating for 24 hours is crazy.
Also, but I mean, concentration in 5th edition is just don't get hit, don't get touched. But it's a great alibi.
Yeah, but it's like your mind, and you can't have any other concentration spell up, right? I have to have that in my peripheral mental state at all times.
But this is real world. This is like real life, so it's not like you have any other spells. It would be the only spell you know, so it's not gonna.
Sure. Okay.
I think I would do sequester though, because honestly, especially with the suspended animation aspect, like, can you imagine just you could, especially if you could have multiples. I mean, I know this thing is like really expensive, but this is like the most amazing time capsule ever. Like, this is you could put something in there and it's preserved for as long as you want. That's kind of insane.
And it could be anything, creature or object. It's
just straight up. I mean, honestly, dude, if a creature, if it's a creature, let's see, it cannot be hides a willing creature or object. If it's themselves, dude, can you imagine? You could be like, hey, I just want to go into the future, you know, just, hey, hide me for 24 hours, poof, and then you just wait, like literally 24 hours goes by. It's literal time travel. You could technically use this for time travel. Because you could just literally say, wake me up in 100 years, or wake me up in a
time.
Yeah. So I would do this one just because it has more practical application. Project image, I don't see. I mean, I guess unless so you can see here and spell and cast images, but it doesn't say that you can like speak through it. So it's like, yeah, you can scout places, like you'd be able to put your I guess basically it's like kind of like astral projection. Like you just be able to like go see and like hear places. You can get some information from it. Yeah, I don't know.
Like I can see you like, yeah, you can use it as an alibi. You could like go and like basically.
The downside is you had to have been there before.
For you, but
it's like you had to have been there before too. So it's not like you could just use this to go on vacation for free. It's not like I could just go to places you'd literally only be able to go and re-look at things that you've seen before. Now, what's interesting though is, again, this is a fascinating question for how you think magic should work. Because if you think like me and magic isn't intuitive and magic is not knowing at all, like magic does not know anything, right? It's all about you and intent. Then this would work like Jumper. You have to have been there before and you have to like have a good, clear image of it, right? Like you have to know it. However, if you subscribe to the mindset that magic is intuitive, has its own knowledge base, and understands, then this would be better, because imagine being able to project into places that you haven't been but can't remember. Like, oh, I've been to that place. Let me just project there real quick and see how it looks today. Even though you can't really remember like where it was, or like, so the idea being, as long as you were there, you could basically jump back into that location. So there's different fundamental uses there, but I don't know. I mean, I guess project image, being able to see and hear does make sense. What's the verbal cosmetical and a small replica worth 5 gold? I mean, it is the cheaper one too. It only costs a 5 GP item.
Here's the deal with what you're saying. How realistic is it for you to be able to move the illusion twice your speed? If I can't see through it, if I don't know where
you can't, yeah, you can see and hear through it.
To like walk it 10 feet
you can see and hear through it. Yeah, we said that. Yeah, you can see, hear, and cast spells through it. But I don't know if cast spells through it means you can talk through it. Like, I don't know if you can actually how much you can communicate through it.
It says to and make it gesture, speak, and behave in whatever way you can choose. It mimics your mannerisms perfectly.
Oh, okay. So it does. Okay. So I didn't have the full spell brought up. Okay. So yeah, I mean, I guess that one is probably the more practical one. Sequester is probably more powerful, but yeah, I mean, I just don't know how often I would really use, like, again, project image is like, how much would I really use? Like, yeah, I don't know. Sequester seems more powerful, seems more beneficial, but practicality, like everyday use, I think more people would use project image. I just don't know what you would use it for. I mean, you could be using it for a lot of lazy things. Like, oh, I can just go check something. Yeah. So like I can go check, like what the price is at the grocery store real quick. Let me just pop over there. Oh, the price is this. Okay, yeah, I'll go there today. Like, you can do dumb shit like that.
I could say there are some jobs where you could do your entire job without actually physically being there.
Yeah. It's called telework.
If you don't need to physically interact with the world around you, like, you're literally teleworking. Like, oh, I really need you to come into this. All right, bro, whatever. You put your character at your computer, yet you're using your computer from home. Like, I just need you to look like you're working. Okay, I look like I'm working, bro. Like, leave me alone. That's so crazy, though.
Yeah, so I guess, yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's really difficult. I mean, I guess also the fact that Sequester consumes like that amount like you'd only ever use it once in your life probably, whereas at least project image is more often. So yeah, I guess project image, you have to choose that one just because you're more likely to use it more than once. Even though it's not really that beneficial, I'm sure that over the course of your life,
I will
you're
say,
more likely going to use it.
if we're talking about something that's exploitable, I feel like I could exploit sequester because it's a touch spell, which means I can do it on other people. And if I can do it on other people, then like imagine being able to like put people who are like medically close to death or something like in like stasis.
Oh,
Then I
pop in
could
the
just get
future
other
and just be
people to
like,
pay
yep.
for the yeah, just like put them into stasis until like some cure can be found or something like that. It's literally an ability to like stave off death for people, for a certain people. Like you could get people to pay you money for that.
I mean,
like,
granted, yeah. I mean,
living
you can pay
doing
just
that.
$10,000. So first 5,000 is to pay for the material, and then you make 5,000 off of it. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So yeah, talk about
Absolutely.
exploitable. I mean, again, with because yeah, project image. It's just again, just being able to go and see and be somewhere. Like again, unless you're doing it for nefarious reasons, there's very few. I mean, I guess you can go see free movies all the time. Like you could literally just go see,
So the
like you could just
replica,
go to the movie theater and whenever you want and just sit in the back row.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
So I mean, again,
Uh,
there's random little benefits that I just don't.
I feel like I would have more fun. I would enjoy project image more than I would enjoy having sequester. Even if I could make stupid money, like when it comes to like getting to actually use my abilities and like
I mean,
use them for things
talk
that,
about exploitation. I mean, you
I
would
don't
be
know.
the absolute best street magician ever.
Oh, yeah. Dude, you could be like an incredible freaking spy.
Yeah.
Like no one could ever kill you. They can't stop you. It's like, yo, I'm gonna like be in your meeting,
Actually, you know
whether
what's
you
interesting
want me
about
to or not.
project
Like,
image
yeah.
is I wonder if project image works with what you're wearing and if that includes disguises. Because if it only projects your real self, imagine being able to disguise yourself and then project image right next to you so you look like two completely different people walking side by side. And then you would then you would split up
Mm,
and then your image would walk one way that looks like you and then you, random stranger, would walk the other way, and then after a distance your image would disappear and then you'd be able to ditch the disguise, and so you're now on a completely different side of town than the way you walked. The person you
yep,
were with is like,
yep,
so there's levels
yep.
of interesting depending upon, does it take on other features that you alter, or will it always show your true self?
Looks and sounds like you, but is intangible. Yeah, it doesn't really say. Um, because here's the deal. I would say if what are some like very lower level spells? Like I would even say something like uh um disguise self. Like if I cast a spell slot on disguise self, I would allow you to like augment its appearance in the same ways that you could do it using disguise self. So it's the
Ah,
same person under there, but I can change your clothes, I can change what they look like. I mean, it's all in illusion ways. I'm just adjusting the illusion to look slightly differently, but it has all the same effects. It doesn't do anything differently. So I don't know. And again, that kind of goes into like how you think magic actually works. Like,
right.
can you? Because there are certain spells that are like formulaic, like they do what they do because that's what they do. But I started watching this show called Witch Hat Atelier, and like the way that they draw their spells and stuff like that, you can adjust the drawing for that spell to do something completely different, right? So like just imagine being able to adjust how you cast the spell or move some words around in the spell, and it now does something
I
different,
don't
or it
know.
does the same thing in a different
Dude,
way.
I don't know why I know now why it brought it up to me. There's a new game, by the way, kind of a derailment topic. There is a new game. It's unfortunate because it is being made a bit with AI to help with with like what it's doing. But the concept's pretty solid, and I'm kind of mad about it because they're
Okay.
like, I'm just kind of mad about like, I'm mad that I like it. But it's a first person
Sure.
shooter, like a team shooter, but makes chalk zone. So think you know how like the finals is like in a virtual reality thing. So
Okay.
think like the finals, but to get a weapon, you have to like get a piece of chalk, run up to a wall, and draw it, and then you pull it out the wall, and whatever you draw. So there's gonna be from what I understand, it's in demo phase, or at least it's it's in its early phases. But the idea is like they'll have stencils, right? So you can get stencils and make like prefabricated like ones, right? And when you pull them off the wall, there's still like 2D objects. So you're holding like literally your drawing. It doesn't become a full 3D gun. It's like you're holding the drawing of it that you pulled off the wall. But like if you get a Tommy gun stencil, you draw a Tommy gun and then you pull a Tommy gun off and it works like that. But apparently there's a free draw, and that's where they're kind of using the AI like engine to take your drawing and make it into a viable weapon. So like if you draw like a rocket launcher or an RPG, it understands enough to make it operational. So you don't have to be super detailed for it to work.
Like a RPG.
Yeah, like so if you're not good at drawing, but you draw a handgun with like 2 barrels, it's like, oh okay, now it's a 2-barrel gun. Like it's trying it's gonna do its best to understand that. I don't know how detailed you can get. Like, can you imagine like, you know, drawing a shotgun pistol with a shoulder strap? I don't know. It's gonna be cool. I'm really interested in it, but I'm also skeptical with, you know, it doesn't look like it's going to be like AI generated in terms of the content. It's just the engine to understand the drawings. So I'm really curious to see how that works out. But
interesting.
That would be kind of cool. Yeah, so
I'd be interested. I want to see a demo of it.
Actually, you know what? Let me do we have any questions from chat, or do you have any more questions?
I mean, I could go off if I really wanted to. Just because I think a lot about session zeros and like what all is important. I know for a while there's especially because I deal with a lot of people that I don't know very well, right? You know, people that you game with, or people that are friends of yours, people that you know, people that you feel comfortable getting into a situation with like that, and you kind of know their boundaries, things that are okay, things that are not okay. But a lot of the people that I interact with, I've never met them before, and so I always am, I don't want to say worried, but I'm always thinking about like, okay, what type of stuff is okay to approach in these situations? Because in D&D, you run into a lot of scenarios. You know, you could run into robbery, you could run into death, murder. You know, like so, like,
and that's where the one-on-ones are really good.
Right. Yeah.
Because that's the thing too, is like a lot of people do talk about that, and when you're playing with public, that's a lot more important. Like when you're playing in public, or when you're playing with randos online, or when you're playing with, you know, paid DMs and things, you need to be a little bit more aware of like those safety nets, and where people's limits are and everything else like that. You know, for me, obviously, you know, during those, you know, those like onboarding sessions, you know, I let people know about High Point, what the things that they could encounter. You know, they're very, you know, I keep it very open to let them know those are the times I'm like, hey, you know, there's something that you're not interested in, you know, let me know, we'll hide away from it. But also I let them know, like, again, because the game is very player focused and very player run, it's not really like I feel like I'm ever going to accidentally introduce a topic that wasn't like obviously coming, right? Like, you know, I would never just like throw my players into a torture dungeon and just be like, hey, so game 1, you're in a dungeon, you hear blah, and then I just start going off on that, right? I'm not gonna be like, hey guys, you want to go to the next town over? Okay, when you get there, you find out, and then all of a sudden I'm just saying all of the most horrible things are happening, and it's like,
well, I would say you could potentially have a group of people that are walking down an alley, and you know, they find a dead body, or maybe like somebody had done a ritual in this alley for something, and there's lots of like, who knows what was done. Like, yeah, like there are things you could run into, but I totally understand. You're not gonna like immerse them in it, like you're trapped in this place and you can't go anywhere.
Well, and it's also, again, it's situations like that. Like, again, that's where the onboarding happens, where I let them know that High Point's a living world. Like, again, there's combat, there's death, but I also get a vibe for people, right? Like, I'm personally not that interested in describing certain things. But I also want my players to have a game that they enjoy. So again, in those situations, right, like people are going to know that there's death in my world. People are going to know that there's murders in my world. Like I'm going to have your tropes to get you involved because again, it's a world designed for heroes, right? And there needs to be things heroes can go do. But again, if there are sensitive topics, it's not like those sensitive topics will come out of nowhere. You know, it's like let's talk about like the big one right now is Dark Sun coming out because Dark Sun has slavery. That's a very harsh topic right now, and everyone's up in arms about whether it should and shouldn't. And then they came out publicly and said that they've removed it. So they are still going to publish Dark Sun, but they've removed the slavery from it because it's such a hard topic. And so it's like those kind of things, right? Where I feel like there's ways to brush those topics if you feel that you want to tackle those in your TTRPG. But again, I feel like those are situations where there's easy ways to approach it or at least hint at it before someone's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe like we're talking about this, or this is just too much for me, right? Like if you're gonna find, like, again, let's say someone has a really problem with necromancy, right? I'm not gonna just throw them unknowingly into a crypt with undead and start describing really nasty things about undead and black magic and all of that, right?
Sure.
But when I say that the High Point's a very player run game, there's going to be a point at which it's like, hey, you guys hear about this dragon that's terrorizing the lands to the north, and to the south you hear of this evil wizard practicing dark magic in a graveyard, and to the west there's a king who has had his daughter kidnapped. And it's like, I'm gonna give you the most vaguest overlap, but if you choose to go south and go, oh, there's a dark wizard who's in a graveyard doing dark magic, I'm sorry, if you chose that path and you show up and you get the clues, don't be surprised that there's undead. Don't be surprised that he's literally digging up graves. If that's taboo,
yeah, don't tell me that.
And it's like, I'm sorry, if that was taboo, why'd you choose that? Now, I'm not saying that again. I'm not saying that mistakes can't happen.
Yeah. But
like, if I say that there's a dragon terrorizing a town and you're like, I don't want to kill innocent creatures, then don't choose the dragon campaign. I'm not, I'm trying to be nice about it, but like, I will offer up campaigns, but I try to do it in a way where I'm going to let you know what's ahead. Like, again, okay, perfect example. Remember when y'all were going through the cliffs and there was the crypt that y'all tried to break into and had that incident at that old church. There were plenty of warning signs.
Okay, yeah.
Of what it was, right? You guys had plenty of warning signs and plenty of understanding that it was an old church, that it was a crypt, blah blah blah. You still went in because you knew it was, there was all the signs that it was dangerous. There was all the signs that it was old, and it was religious based. So it shouldn't have been any surprise that there was ghosts in there, right? Like, it's one of those things where ghosts or occult are pretty much the only thing that you probably would have found there. But it's not like, I feel like that wouldn't have been a situation where someone was like, oh my God, I don't want to talk about ghosts. It's like, well, then why did you go to the creepy, broken down church that was boarded up and looked like you should never have gone in there? Like, there's levels to those things where I feel like...
Is... Go ahead.
Oh, no, for me as a DM, if I'm going to approach a subject that I think is touchy, I will make sure it's on the horizon and give the players enough opportunities to say, yeah, that's not the direction I want to go with the story, which is totally fine for me. I mean, I don't fantasize about these things. It's just story hooks. They're just ways to push the story and interact and think of thought puzzles. But
when it comes to that, this kind of, it's not a shifted topic, but it's very related. Like,
perfect.
We've talked about what's the terminology? Metagaming.
Yes.
Metagaming before, right? And like what exactly that means. And so a large part of what that means is taking out of game knowledge into the game, right? And so in a scenario like this, if I am piloting a character that is ignorant to a lot of the things that these signs would tell me, yet I as the player recognize them, how much metagaming is involved if I, the player, try and steer my character away from that?
None. Well, I mean,
Does that make sense?
Yeah. But to me, no more than, again, this is why I always give you options. This is why it's an open world and not a linear campaign. Because you not knowing any better than like, hey, you guys have to go either through the graveyard where there are skeletons, but player knows there are skeletons in the graveyard. Character doesn't because they've never been to a graveyard. Or you can take the path to go through, the village. It's like, to me, yes, it's linear and your player doesn't know any better, so you could play it like that. But I personally give choices for the player to experience the game the way they want to. Yes, you can choose to play your character as much as you want, right? Like, I love it when people are like, that's what my character would do. But I want it to be in that way like you do it, where it's with a smile on your face. Like, this isn't what I want to do, but you do it reluctantly, but you do it in good faith.
Yeah.
But that's the thing is, I hope, my hope as a DM is that I always provide enough opportunities and enough options that the players always feel in control, both with the choices as well as how much to lean on their character they created. So if I give players the knowledge that there are 3 choices and one of them is something that the player really isn't okay with, but their character is oblivious to, that's not metagaming to me. That is the purpose of the choice. Is, yes, your player may want to do one or the other because of what's been happening in game, but the choice is also me as a DM being like, hey player, what do you want to do? Because we've been doing this for a while. Do you want to continue doing this, or do you want to, like, that's why I let my players ditch quests, because it's not required of you to do anything.
Yes. No, I totally get that. What about, because I'm thinking of a scenario where it's say for whatever reason there was a girl that got abducted from the town, and there's a group of adventurers while walking through this town, and somebody happens to overhear that occurred. The monk, say, is the one that's like, oh my gosh, I heard a girl got abducted, like, that's in my backstory, all of this stuff. Like, I'm super, the type of character that I am, I would go find that girl. Like, I don't care what the rest of the party does. Like, I would go find that girl. Turns out, because of the world being the way the world is, she got abducted by some undead something in some real weird, creepy crypt. And the players don't find out about that until they're standing in front of the weird, creepy crypt, right? So this character, this monk, is like, oh my gosh, there's no way my monk character is going to roll out and not go save that girl.
Right.
But at the same time, I would have to go into an area where I'm going to feel really uncomfortable participating in whatever this looks like.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean?
So, in the unlikelihood that I would run into that, I don't think I ever would, but let's just say I did, right? Let's just say, for whatever reason, storyline purposes, the player comes to me and says, look, I'm struggling because I feel like, again, if they're that dedicated to their player or to their character, that they feel honestly torn, that they don't want to go against playing their character truthfully. Like, they just honestly are like, it hurts me to do that, but I'm not comfortable with the subject that's happened. For High Point, there's only really one of 2 options I can do, because I have reasons for what the story is. So it's unlikely that I can just retcon so much that it's no longer the theme that they're concerned about, right? Like you said, if it's a necromancer that took them, it's going to be hard for me to explain why it's not a necromancer anymore. But unless there is some big reason it needs to be this way for the party, and again, that would have been very well established long beforehand. Like, this wouldn't have been a surprise, right? The surprise literally would have been like a nothing kidnapping kind of thing. Like, oh, you just happen to be in a place where that was happening. Sorry. Like, that's just, that's just what the dice said. But what I could do, and what I most likely would do, is if it were either integral to the story or the player was just like, it just really sucks. Like, I don't know how to just ignore this, right? Like, do I just act like this never happened? Do we retcon it? So what I might do, if it's not that important, that pivotal to the story arc, it's just one of those many things happening in the world, I would just let them roll it out. I would break it into, okay, well, this was going to be like a 5-room clearing. So if everybody's okay with it, let's just do a series of best out of 3. Your guys's will roll I'll roll 3 dice. Everybody rolls 5, everyone rolls a d20 and we'll take the average. I'll roll 3 and take the average. We'll do that best out of 3 for every room. And then when you guys beat all the rooms, we'll say you rescue her. And if you don't, we'll say you barely get out alive and you don't rescue her. And that's it. We'll fade to black. We'll meta game what happens. Like, okay, you guys break in, do your rolls. Okay, you guys wipe out all of the undead you see. And that's it. We just don't talk about it. It's like, okay, you wipe out everything there. Okay, you got the other rooms. Okay, you cleared these rooms out. Oh, you guys failed this roll. You guys found a trap room, and now you guys are at half health because you found a trap room, but you all barely escaped. Last room, you find him, you find her, you guys beat my rolls, you beat the bad guy, and then now you're back at the town. You've saved her. Now let's continue this story. That to me is worst case scenario, is if I have found myself in a situation where I accidentally put a player in such a turmoil, whether it's solo gaming or with a party, I would just be like, hey guys, look, let's just, for the sake of the story, let's finish this part, but let's just roll it out. We won't talk it. We won't RP it. Let's just say you guys are going to go in, clear 5 rooms, and you're going to rescue her. And that's all we're going to say. If it's that, if it's that touchy of a subject, I'll vague it out. Just say, let's roll 3, best out of 3 for every room, and then we'll call it good. And then we move on.
Sure.
And usually that's the best way I think that you can handle it, because you still get the effect. You just don't get the gameplay, but you still get the timeline.
Right.
So that would probably be what I would do if I had
That's
to.
fair enough.
Because I mean, honestly, the other option is you can just let her go, or you can just be like, well, I understand that. Or here's the other thing too. If you are a DM who, for whatever reason, you need that to happen, and you weren't really, for whatever reason, you don't want to back out, you don't want to speed through it, and it's not that important. You can also just do the dumb thing where it's like, I totally get that you don't want to game it. It's kind of uncomfortable. It's kind of unfortunate anyway, though, because, like you said, your monk wasn't going to back down. And as he went to that door and he tried to bang on it and open it and do it, he realizes it's shut tight and the entire place is sealed shut. There's no way in or out that you could find. So even if you wanted to, you wouldn't be able to save her. Like, you could just give the monk, feed that backstory, be like, so just chalk this up to another one that you couldn't save and let that feed your backstory moving forward. So you could just let them know, like, hey, we won't do it, we won't run it, but I'm going to give you a reason that this is going to stick with you, not because I want the trauma, but like you said, it's part of my backstory. Like, this happened before and I wasn't able to save the girl, so I have to save her. So what if this is another one you couldn't save? Will that make your character better? So again, as a DM, there's plenty of ways to get around it. You should always work with your characters to give them the best experience without forcing your story. You should also be able to play your game. But, there's that give and take. You can do it successfully doing both.
Absolutely.
And honestly, too, depends on the person. If the player comes up and says, hey, I'm just really I don't like the descriptions, this is just really a weird topic. What if you just turn on arachnophobia mode? Just be like, oh, okay, so if all the other players are cool, just for the time, you guys know what's going on, but can we just call are you okay with zombies? Are you okay with puppets? Can I just call them puppets? Or can they just be animated puppets? You know what I mean? You can still keep it all and just be like, okay, you're going to go after the puppet master now. The puppet master, again, it's without, I would have a hard time changing it from being a necromancer in my story, but I can turn on the arachnophobia mode, right? Turn spiders into kittens kind of thing. For people who have arachnophobia in video games, they can turn that on and it changes spiders. You could do that. So you could be like, okay, well, instead of this a crypt, it looks like a dollhouse. And instead of a necromancer, it's a puppet master. And instead of zombies, they're all puppets. So you're literally fighting stuffed dolls that are alive. I mean, you could really, hell, clowns would just probably be another fear for someone else. But you know what I mean? There's ways you can work with your player to still get the exact same effect. But honestly, if it's just the words they don't like, ask them if you can just change the words. Ask them if it's the subject. It really depends on what part's bugging them. You don't have to force them to like it. I'm not saying drill them, but just be polite about it. You know what I mean? Just be like, hey, okay, what part about it? Like, I don't want to force you into anything, but is it the topic? Is it the words we use? Is it like, you know, because again, I want to give them the good experience, but I also want to tell the right story. So again, I can easily turn a necromancer into a puppet master.
Yeah.
I can easily turn undead into animated puppets. That's, to me, those are the same thing. But the point would be harder to say they're just a cult. You know what I mean? Like, that's a difference, you know?
And this is always what I've kind of felt like. There's so much of what D&D is that its entire purpose is it's a game of immersion. I think most games are games of immersion, but like when you think about what you're trying to build and create with these people, you're trying to tell a verbal story that builds a picture in these people's minds of what's actually happening in the world around you.
Yeah.
And so when you're doing that, like as long as the people can connect the word to the correct picture, like that's all that matters. And so if these people are having a hard time because whenever they hear a certain word, like instinctually a picture like comes to their mind and it's really hard for them to get past, easily changing that word, like I think that's a fantastic solution because I think that's such a challenging thing at times.
Oh, absolutely.
So,
I'm also just thinking how funny that would be.
Interesting.
Like turn that whole, like, you know, again, they're having a hard time with the subject, so it's like you turn it into puppets, and then you get one of those like little squeaky toys. So every time you go to attack with the puppets and the puppet hits, you'd be like, okay, and he goes to attack you twice, and that's 2 hits, and then you just go to like the little like the squeaky thing. It's like he hits you twice, and then whenever they kill one, you do the like the little the confetti.
Oh yeah. The great birthday party from Halo.
Exactly.
Oh, that was good shit.
So you just do this. So it's like you could totally lighten up the gaming session if someone's like having a hard time with those topics. You can easily change it up to just get their mind off of it. Because you know you've already brought it up, so it's like their mind's gonna still be thinking about it. But if you could get it away from the seriousness, it's supposed to be for fun and games.
But I also don't want it to detract from the immersion of the other players. Like if the other players are having a good time and if the other players are engaged with the story and like they want to continue through whatever's happening and like gain that experience, I definitely love your first suggestion of just changing up the terminology because those people can likely continue to connect what a zombie is with a puppet, right? It's like, oh, every time he says puppet, he means zombie. You know, so like being able to do that, I feel like is a very like good tool to have in your tool belt as a DM to like make that kind of stuff happen.
And that's the thing, I appreciate
that. That's cool.
It's also just it's a group dynamic thing, right? Like obviously, if someone's open about having a problem, I think the entire party can handle a gaming session or two, changing up, you know, the mindset to just get past that one stage, right? Like not every single gaming session has to be super serious and super in character and like everything has to be perfect. You know what I mean? Like sometimes you can goof off, you know?
This is very true.
Like I saw someone's like DM advice, and I think this is absolutely fantastic, is don't forget to give your players beach days. Like a non-combat, non-stressful, just you guys are just chilling. What are you guys doing? Who you talking to? Have some fun. Like remember to put those in, those days where nothing actually happens, right? Little mini games. Go play some volleyball and then just like make them roll dice for volleyball instead of combat.
Yeah, that is cool. That's good shit. I like that reminder.
All right, so I do have that demo pulled up, but I want to make sure we answer any questions first. That did get us to 2 hours, which is good. Like we're almost at 2 hours, but if you have any more questions, I don't know if you said you had a bunch, but I think we covered a lot of them. Plus, you're gonna get to see more of that on Sunday anyway when everybody comes over. But I know that. So the my whole thing is 12 to 6, but I think everyone's showing up. At least a couple people are gonna show up around 2 or 3. So that should be after whatever you're doing on Sunday. Cool. But yeah, just feel free to show up whenever.
Roughly how many you got?
I think it's just might be 2, but it might be 3. But it should be at least 2 people. And we can talk after stream about who.
Cool.
But yeah, so they should be over to hang out just if you want to be there just to kind of answer questions from a player point of view, or you know just see what onboarding is like.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, festivals and
sharing the experience a little bit. I'm here for it.
Yeah, there's so many ways to do like side episodes,
yeah.
like a festival is really good. Ceremonies, like especially when they reach like level 10, if they're in a kingdom or something, having it be like part of a giant ceremony, so the entire day is a celebration of them leveling up, right? So you could do like little cutaways, talk about how each character learned their new abilities, who taught them that. Like, there's so many ways. I like to do shopping days, and I don't just mean shopping for gear, but like real shopping. Like, I had one entire session where Vix's character Ness went through. She was in a really, really big market town, and she went through the entire like pastry section of the market and just tried everything. So we sat there, I think, for like 3 straight hours, rolling for figuring out what her character liked to eat in game. So she would just have I would just have to sit there and come up with like, she was like, okay, I go to the next cart, and I'm like, this one's chocolates.
That was cool.
And she was like, okay, well, what kind of chocolates do they have? And I'm like, well, this one does like fudge and, other like dense chocolate. So she would try them all and roll her dice. And then she'd be like, okay. And it was so funny. We found out that her character consistently does not like, her character is okay with chocolate, like straight fudge, like chocolate is fine with. Again, every time tasted direct chocolate, she was okay. Maybe because anyway, we were rolling to just see what she likes. So she was getting like, scale of 1 to 10. She likes chocolate maybe like a 6 or 7 by itself, But I swear to God, if you put chocolate in something, you're the fucking devil himself. Every single time her character tried anything that had chocolate in it, chocolate chip cookies, chocolate chip bread, chocolate cinnamon bread, loves cinnamon buns and cinnamon swirls, hates chocolate cinnamon bread. Like, literally, without a doubt, I would just give her these random things, but every single time something had bits of chocolate in it, she rolled the lowest on her desirability rolls. Absolute insanity. But it was consistent. We don't know how. Completely random, but it was consistent.
Hey, there's a wise man once told me a long time ago that the dice tell the story. That's all I'm saying. The dice tell the story.
Yeah, but yeah,
Like,
I agree. Having things that characters can do, and even side games, like little mini games. Yeah, carnival games are a great option, right? Like letting them do things that just don't stress them out, right? That don't need a solution, right? I really enjoy those. Giving players strongholds that they can set up. Your camera froze, by the way.
Yeah, my internet's been acting goofy. I gotta try and fix it real quick.
Yeah, it's fine. But yeah, it's one of those, like, I think, giving them strongholds and letting them set up defenses can be an entire gaming session. Setting up traps and setting up guards and stuff. He turned into a ventriloquist. He was talking without moving. All right, well, once he gets back, we'll go over the this trailer for this new game, and then if anybody has any more questions, then we will finish those off. But yeah, I think that was a good amount of questions though so far for session 0 and just onboarding in general.
Yeah, no, I think it worked out great.
Oh, there we go. We got you back.
Better?
All right. But yeah, so let us know if you have any more questions about session 0s, onboarding new players, or anything else like that in chat. Meanwhile, I'm going to show Kage this new game, and we might both get it when it comes out.
Oh, that would be cool. How do we know how far away? Do they have an anticipated release or whatever?
It just says coming soon, as you can see here. Release date coming soon. So it's called Chalk Warfare.
Okay. Chalk Warfare.
Chalk Warfare, and I'll let you watch the little demo here. It's kind of crazy, dude. Dude, this trailer goes hard.
Tell me. Okay.
You goggles?
A kind of already thing.
Yeah, see, so here's the stencil. Like, you can buy stencils and then automatically have pre-built ones. But dude, like, there's feet, there's grenades, there's goggles. You can make silencers for your weapon. This wasn't even the trailer that I was thinking of. But yeah, so you see how like they're only 2D.
So yeah.
But you can make
I mean,
grenades.
that's very cool. That's very. When you said it was 2D, I thought it was going to be a lot more like lower quality. Whatever. Like you said, the final. Style animation. This is good quality animation. This is pretty cool. This is pretty cool.
Yeah. Let's see if I can get this one. There's another video. Oh yeah, so this was their first video, dude. Like this are you still there? You froze again. I want to make sure you're still around.
Again? I'm here. I can hear you.
Okay, yeah. So here's the video that I first saw. They had like a whole ass like real trailer. So this is the trailer I first saw.
400 million views and one standout comment. Make this into a game. We always wanted it to be a game, but knew we had to do it right.
Here we go.
And that's why it's...
So this was the first video I saw for this. This goes fucking hard. If it loads. So yeah, this is the first one I saw.
I'm swinging around to the north side.
All right, let's look.
Just meet me there. I'll be there in 30 seconds.
That's 30 seconds too late.
So already like got the gun, already got the radio off the wall. Dude, guess what weapon that is?
What?
They got the fuck like, so this is where I'm assuming that they're gonna use like the AI to understand like, okay, that's the Halo weapon, so it needs to work like the Needler.
Okay, so I swear I saw this trailer forever ago, and I thought I had no idea this had anything to do with the game. I thought this was just.
I don't think it did.
It's like some fan-made thing.
I think it was originally a fan-made thing until they got enough people saying this should be a game, and they said, like, we got you. So I do think this originally was a concept, and then they decided to make it into a game. Dude, look at this! A fucking robot! Dude, I love being able to just ditch them. I love being able to just like put the thing on the ground or like put it back on the wall. All right, Iron Man.
Oh, that's so wild. I'm not gonna lie, it looks so weird that they're like holding these 2D things, but like when you actually, yo, it's so crazy.
Like this is legit. Seriously, I would play the crap out of this.
Bruh.
So you're saying I can make a big BFG? Yeah, basically you can. And then you can make melee weapons, which I don't know why you would. Like, why wouldn't you just make a gun? Like,
everybody likes a good melee weapon. You know, even in Halo, you like using the sword.
Nice boots, Rocket Boy.
this is kind of cool, though. He uses it as a whip. Kind of legit.
That's so crazy.
Oh no! See, this would be a cool mechanic. If water in the game would actually mess it up.
Ooh, that's interesting. That's actually very interesting.
And this right here.
Oh, that's clear.
Bro, come on! Did you see that shit? If you could do that in the game.
Nice knowing you.
Bro.
See that? I saved you! Again! That's the team part!
Hello. Glenn, is this on? Okay. That was a rocky start, huh?
That's so
You guys have me
crazy.
nervous
That's
for a
so
second.
crazy.
You're good.
That's
I mean, you're
so
pretty good.
crazy, bro.
You're above average. But the teamwork, now
I
that needs
freaking
some
love
help.
it, team.
And let's see some original drawings this time. Next round.
See, this makes me feel like Darwin Awards, like someone's gonna actually be in control of it. Yeah, artists out here becoming best PvP gamers, exactly, right?
Wild. You have an unfair advantage over the rest of us, okay? It's not cool.
It's
So
official.
I'm
Warfare is a video game, and you can wishlist it today.
I'm
on
just
Steam.
really curious how they're gonna.
But our small team has built a custom machine learning system to bring your drawings to life.
Yeah, here you go.
Just
Open that up.
It's official. Chalk Warfare is a video game, and you can wishlist it today on Steam.
they said it couldn't be done, but our small team has built a custom machine learning system to bring your drawings to life, just like you've seen in these videos.
It's taken years, and I promise you, it's
So
unlike
custom
any
machine
game
learning
you've ever
could be
played.
interesting.
And it's cost a lot of money. So how can you support the development? Well, first you can subscribe to the YouTube channel because we're announcing all the updates through development vlogs and taking you along for the ride.
Yeah, I'm
And
curious,
our
'cause
fans
when
get
you're
access to the beta first.
drawing on there, it
support us
doesn't
by
really
buying
look
merch.
like you're
You get Founders Edition merch.
controlling
Every dollar you spend,
like the actual
directly
movement. It looks like you
supports
press a
the game.
button
lastly,
and it's like,
you can
all right,
wish
I'm gonna
list the
fill in
game
this
on Steam.
particular design.
It's free.
You know what I
and it
mean?
helps us out
It's
a ton.
hard to say because it says your drawing. So yeah, because like the background here, it looks like these would be like prefabricated weapons that like are default. And yeah, so it's like if I draw a bigger silencer, does it give me a bigger silencing, or does it just like if it sees I'm drawing a silencer, does it snap to a design it knows?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and again, like how are how would it know when I want to do a whip? Like if I wanted if I wanted to have like a 3-prong whip, do I just do a handle and then 3 very long strands that curl at the end, and would it know that those are whips, or would it try to make them buzz saws? Right, like so there'll be some interesting things.
More sense. It would make more sense if you got to create your own
Like template.
stencil rather than
Ooh.
yeah, and then it like turns into whatever it is that you create. Like you have features that you can have for like these different templates, and each one of those features like enables you to like use the weapon in a specific way or whatever the case may
That
be.
would be kind of legit.
The only problem would be like you'd have to animate them using each one of these different unique weapons, which would be kind of hard.
Well, and that's where I wonder how much their machine learning understands. So the game is
Yeah.
Chalk Warfare. So let's see. Draw it. Yeah, so it looks like you can see here. It looks like they're like you're just hand drawing them. So I guess this was a YouTube series. So I guess this was actually like a true video series, and then someone said make a game out of it. So you aren't tied to preset. Oh,
Really?
here you go. So you aren't tied to preset loadouts. You aren't set to a preset loadout. Your chalk is your ammunition, your currency, and your only limit. So your chalk runs out as you fire. That's kind of cool. If you can imagine tactical advantage, the system is designed to let you draw it. Powered by a bespoke real-time drawing recognition system, weapons and tools you sketch on the walls are instantly forged to reality. The game processes your custom designs in milliseconds, intellectually calculating exactly how your unique creation is held, handled, and reloaded. Don't just pick a weapon, evolve it, sketch tools, modifications, gadgets, mid-match to counter your opponents, where every creative choice... And that's the thing, it's like, do you get more chalk? Because like, who's gonna stop people from just sitting down for 5 minutes and drawing just like a nuke? You know what I mean?
This sounds so like, and again, like, it just sounds like a monstrous thing to overcome. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
like being able to do everything that you just said sounds impossible. So I'm very curious how, because I'm assuming they're not going to write it down unless they have some sort of idea of how they're approaching it.
Yeah,
So,
well, they have a sandbox mode where you can practice your drawings, which I think is going to be super good. Chalk Economy,
Okay.
you can only equip a limited number of blueprints per match. They're easy to fill guides on the wall, so you can quickly grab gear, but using them costs precious chalk. Okay, so you can free draw or maybe do ones that you kind of sort of remember. Like, you just, draw me this general shape and then I'll figure out the rest. Or master, oh yeah, here we are. So Chalk Economy, master the freehand. Want to save resources? Memorize your design. If you can perfectly freehand your weapon's shape from memory mid-fight, it costs nothing. Interesting. Okay.
Oh.
So it looks like, so you get these blueprints, right? Where you'll use more chalk, but you'll get this exact weapon. So that, it seems like that's tier 1. Then a tier 2 weapon is this. You see how it like flashed? And it was like 2 different types of weapons. So I'm thinking like tier 1's gonna cost you the most chalk, right? This is like the pre-gen sword. This right here though, it's saying, hey, if you give me an outline of a gun, or you see these like gun, SMG, and rifle, I'm thinking those are generalized stencils. Like if you can give me those, you'll use less chalk. And then if you just straight up freehand it completely, it uses almost no chalk. That's kind of what I'm hearing.
Okay. See, this is gonna make me feel like I'm gonna be very, very bad at this game. I'm gonna be very bad at this game. Like I'm gonna, because we all know my artistic skills extend to stick figures, man. And listen, I'm playing on console. Like if
I'm curious how it's gonna translate to I don't know if it's gonna be single player online PvP.
Whether
I'm looking. It might be PC only.
That's all right. I'm eventually will be getting a more powerful box, but
I'm not seeing anything yet. It would make sense. Something like this would probably be PC only.
Sure.
But yeah, I'm excited for it. I wanna check this game.
Absolutely.
All right, we got no video on you, so I guess video's dead.
Yeah, I've been trying. Every time I turn it back on, it like kicks me off. I don't know if it's taking up too much bandwidth right now with the video or something like that, but I'm gonna have to troubleshoot. So apologies, friends.
It's all right. We're getting to the top of the hour. Do we have any final questions? D&D questions, high point questions, onboarding session 0. If not, yeah, I think that's pretty good. I mean, 2 hours. I think that's a fine enough place to end it. We have a review coming up on Monday. I have a very long weekend ahead of me, so
yeah, we got a busy weekend coming up.
What was your design for the gods? Let's see. Which one were you talking about? Which one talked about gods? Okay, here we are. So there always has to be a seat for the abundance of particular gods. Seat has to be filled. Several ways you can do that. Always has to be someone, so God becomes betrothed to each other to make it official. The ultimate endeavor is they combine together. Interesting. Okay. I'm curious how that would work. Like I by the description, I don't exactly understand if two gods become betrothed, they have to become one, because if they're betrothed, they can't each hold their own seat. I'm not 100% sure I understand the whole thing.
Is this like a unique thing? Because I know like there in certain cultures, like there's the idea that the entire identity of marriage is two becoming one flesh type deal. And it's like two entities ceasing to be two entities and now being like one unified entity. Like everything that, like, even though your arms move separately from each other and they can do separate things at one time, like they are still a part of the same body and they're still operating for the same purpose and same goal type deal. So
yeah, it's kind of
I don't
what
know if
Cart's
it's like
saying.
metaphorical or literal or whatever.
I guess because if they're two different gods and they want to be betrothed, they become a new god of a different order, corresponding to both gods' different attributes and capabilities. So it's like so it's kind of like a pyramid scheme where two gods become together to become one more powerful god, leaving the holes of their previous two positions but filling up their own.
Oh, so I thought it was like both and. So they would have that new position and their old positions individually. But if they're talking about like,
the old positions would be vacant and would have to be taken up because they're no longer taken.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. I'd have to see it in practice. I'd have to know more about how that works in practice. It sounds for the way that I do the hierarchy and the purpose of what gods do, that sounds, I mean, granted, mine sounds extremely chaotic, so I don't know really how bad
it's
that
all
sounds.
chaotic.
Like it sounds like a lot of movement of power for, I don't know what the end goal would be, and I don't know what the benefit would be. So I'd have to understand more about like what the design structure is, what the power structure is, and how gods are chosen, how gods, fall into it. Because, if two gods become one and leave two holes, and then two other gods have to step up, then two other gods have to step up, then two other gods have to step up, because they, there's always a hole to fill. So at what point does that guarantee someone gets ascended? And then if someone steps up, if two people go together and then leave two holes, but then two other gods come together to fill one of those holes, now there's three holes. It's I don't understand what the power dynamic and what the power feed looks like. You know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah.
So, yeah, I'd have to see the whole thing. I'd have to see the whole power structure written out to wrap my head around it. But that's why we have our own worlds, because you can do it however it makes sense to you.
Yes, indeedy do.
Mine is just about spheres of influence. It's just in order to keep the balance, the dissemination of power, kind of like entropy, right? The more dissemination of power, the more balance there will be, because the whole purpose, the whole issue of the early stages of High Point was a hoarding of power. Too many people had too much power. So the new hierarchy is designed to basically allow for growth and expansion while maintaining a power struggle that keeps itself in check. So you can be a powerful god, but as new gods come into play, and they want to take pieces of your control, they become essentially under you as an organization. So while you lose individual control, you gain it in the fashion of influence, if that makes sense, right?
Sure.
So every time someone ascends and they take a brand new sphere of influence, you can't take a sphere of influence that some god already holds, but you can take one that is more specific. Usually what you're doing is you take a position, and whichever god's umbrella that falls into, you're essentially saying, hey, I'll become your middle management for this particular slice of your influence, which means I'll take full control, and I have rights to say what happens here, but it does ultimately fall within your governance. So you also agree that you have to follow that governance, in order to maintain
scenarios where you take it from multiple sources. So say somebody is like the god of life cycles, and so that would theoretically be taken from like the god of life and death, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so like you have pieces of both that you've siphoned from to create this new mantle, but it's new and unique mantle.
Yeah.
Like, would one supersede the other, or would there have to be consensus between the two when it comes to certain things, or is there a brand new unique dynamic of this like trifecta of, yes, I'm one god, but I also have two bosses.
That. It's again,
balance.
Usually gods will take a primary and then a secondary like sphere, so you can be the god of this and that, and usually one's your primary focus. So usually it's very difficult for one of your choices to fall under two people, but if you choose two things that do fall under, you would essentially fall under two governances. It would just be which aspect of it happens, right? And this is where becoming a god is its own gameplay, because when you become a god, and let's say you wanted to become the god of, let's say, the god of light rain, like those days of just light rain where it's almost just like soft rain where it is raining but you barely feel it. Like, you can be the god of that, and the god of the sea breeze or something like that. But at that stage, you would probably fall directly under the god of storms, and then you'd probably fall under one of the gods of the seas. And so in that aspect, that's where your gameplay now comes into play, is as that player, as that new god, you have to go figure out who your new bosses are, what their expectations are of you. And the more you develop your religion, the more you have to get consensus from them. So if you have to make sure that they don't have any cross beef, right? Like, let's say you became a god of those two things and you wanted to limit your paladins. You wanted to say, hey, because of my belief system, because of the way I want my religion to work, I want paladins that are limited to these things. You have to make sure that that doesn't conflict with your bosses. You can't, say, well, I don't want to accept XYZ in my religion, but your boss is like, but that's my most sacred thing. So you're gonna kind of things like that.
Got you.
And then vice versa. Like, if those two gods butt heads, you have to make sure that your religion doesn't try to say one's better. You know what I mean? Like, there's just like little consensuses, right? So a lot of that happens, especially like if a god has created, a specialty race in the world, or let's say you want to create a specialty race, right? Like, you have to make sure, like, let's say you wanted to create a brand new version of dragon, but if your god's really anti-dragon because of their history, they're probably going to have a problem with that, right? So That's the gameplay. The whole gameplay is establishing your stealth. You choose a mantle, but you're still the lowest totem. You are basically just in someone else's organization. It's like corporate, right? You're just in someone else's organization. You control the thing you control, but you still have other people that you report to. And your new gameplay is finding your place, doing well, and then working your way up the rank, right? Trying to become more powerful, take on more influence, become a bigger, powerful, better god.
What is happening, dude?
I love how the gods work in my realm. Like, I've spent probably the most time on how the gods work. That and magic are probably the two things I've worked the most on in High Point.
Yeah.
Out of everything.
Absolutely.
I think the lore is third. Yeah.
Big pieces of everything, so that makes a lot of sense. You know what I mean?
No, I mean they're the core of everything. They're the core of how the magic operates. They're the core of how the world operates. They're the core of how the power struggle works. They're the core of they're just there. It's gods are definitely that, and magic were like my two, like they were probably equal in terms of how much effort I've put into those two. And then I would say like the actual gameplay is probably number 3.
Valid.
And eventually you're gonna roll a 100 on D100, and they're gonna get an absolutely sadistic spook job. What? How do you think I should go about cyber? What? So within lore of the world, the seat to have changed the most if they found God. I don't understand. What's the D100 for? You said you're gonna roll a 100 on a D100, and they're gonna get a what? And then I don't understand how you think you should go about rolling the D100. I'm not sure what you're asking, Bart.
You're gonna get absolutely
Need more information. I need more detail with your questions. What's the D100 for? Why are you rolling it? How would I know what you should do? I don't.
Highest speech. Oh, he's using text to speech.
Oh, that's why.
Or the world seat change, most newly god. Nobody wants that damn position.
Oh, wait, so it's the job of the god of torment, a job that most cannot bear, making it a percentile roll. And if they ever get a 100 on a D100, the person that gets the position will be completely fine with their job. But I don't know how I should let that influence the world and when that happens. Oh, so in that case, I mean, again, it's so hard to like pontificate on that, because I look at it from like High Point, mentality. That with something like that, especially if it's a powerful god, like if that's an important position, you could use that to be a turning point in the world. So let's say, like, you know, there's a potential future of High Point where Zenith is no longer the ruler, and there is a potential that his nemesis becomes the ruler. High Point would look very different if that happened. And so you could treat it like that, where if that case ever happens, the world functionally looks different. You know, maybe with someone who enjoys that position in the seat, maybe that tips the alignment of the entire setting more evil. So right now, maybe things are about heroes and saving people and, you know, doing the right thing. And it's about, you know, protecting villages from dragons and stopping, you know, evil wizards, you know, and blah, blah, blah. But then it goes from that to, you know, if the, you know, that God of Torment likes his job, maybe suddenly, you know, crypts become more alive, graveyards become more alive than they ever have been. You know, a Tarask suddenly gets worked out. Just the world itself, the things that happen in the world start to just be more evil, right? Like, it's just in general infecting the world because the God of Torment is enjoying his job. And that means that there will be more torment. Hell, you can actually make it into something less chaotic. If you don't want it to be that effective, when you roll that D100 and you finally find someone who becomes the God of Torment and enjoys it, basically that's when you introduce your own version of Pinhead into your world. Maybe he just gets so fascinated with his job that he wants to spread his torment, so he makes the lament configuration and sends it out into your world. And that now becomes a magical object that your players have to go and seek out to stop from causing torment in the world. So let's just say it's one of those cursed objects that's for eons or, you know, decades has been causing torment wherever it goes. So your party is now destined to go and stop it and destroy it. Kind of like, you know, Lord of the Rings. Like there's definitely ways where if you have someone in a position no one wants and he starts to enjoy it, make it obvious. Make it to where it's like, wow, no one's ever enjoyed this job and it's the world feels it. That would be the way that I would go about it. How can you make him hot? I mean, have you seen like Pinhead like fandom? Everyone thought Pinhead was pretty hot, so
That's very fair. That's very fair. Wild.
I mean, honestly, yeah. If they like Hellraiser, just do what I do. Like, again, I don't steal other people's IPs like directly. I don't try to like knock it off 1-to-1. But sometimes it's a lot easier to just be like, to tell people the pop culture reference just so they have an image in their head that everyone can agree on and you don't have to like worry about. I mean, you can make him 100% your own character, but you could be like, but for the purposes of visuals, just think Pinhead from Hellraiser and let people work with that what they will. Right?
I was like morphing two significant pictures together, and then your brain is going to morph those two pictures together way differently than I would. Yeah. So it gives a very unique character that gets created from that they now get to use for whatever. But yeah, no, I like that.
Yeah, and it also it's again the whole attractiveness thing in TTRPGs is very difficult to really do, because you can either force it and be like, yeah, this person's attractive and everyone says so. You can try to do it like an author in a book and give it all the descriptors to make it that way, or you just have to make their personality appealing. But attractiveness in Dungeons and Dragons or in any TTRPG is just it just has to be fabricated, but you have to do it in a way that everybody vibes with and everybody accepts.
I mean, you're right. Like, I look at it like exactly like what you were talking about with Vixie for a second ago, talking about her, how she was trying to see whether she liked that chocolate or not. Yeah. Because for the most part, attractiveness is very relative. It's not going to be the same for everybody. You know, not everyone's good. Like, two people can disagree on whether one person is attractive or not. And so, you know, to that person, yeah, you're absolutely attractive and I would date you and I would do whatever, you know, but to the other person, absolutely not. So, you know, like, live your life, but it's going to be very much up to you what developing that attractive. Because again, we're going back to immersion and like, what you see in your mind when you're in the process of this. So no, I totally feel that.
Yeah. So yeah, it's very difficult to understand. I mean, honestly, another way that you could like, if it's not so much like how do I, do that? But how do you represent like the god of torment? Like, how can you represent torment being attractive? How I would like immediately, like the first thought that I have is make him like, think of the concept of Two-Face and how Voldemort used to stick on the back of people's heads. Imagine a being like that, where like facing you, like what you would think of as front side, right, is the attractive, just, everything looks fine. Everything, whenever they're talking to you like that. And they never, like, you always have to like look at them and you never see them leave, all that kind of stuff. Or if they leave, they back away. You just always make it apparent that you always see the front side of them. Because if they ever turn around is when you see the real side of them, right? Maybe it's like when they turn around, instead of it just being like Two-Face where it's just a tormented figure, what if it's almost like they turn around and then kind of like the TARDIS, like you see into something, where when they turn around, you actually see into like a dungeon or into the torturous like demi-plane that they inhabit. So it's almost like, again, if they ever turn their back on you, they're, again, like the torment of turning their back on you, someone doing that. And maybe that's how they trap you, right? Like as a god, that's, whenever they talk to someone and they're gonna like absorb them, they turn their back and that person gets like, hypnotized, and then they fall into the torture dimension or whatever. But that's like the first instinct that I have is, if you want to make them in a sense of like, why would it make sense that they're attractive if you have the kind of more literal representation of gods in their physical form, then torment would be one of those things where if you want them to be attractive, it has to be that whole, torment and agony can be, that isn't always at surface level. It's not always physical, like disabilities aren't always physical.
Yeah.
So in that same vein, you could have it to where you have this person who seems well groomed, well collected, calm, and everything seems to be just fine with them. They seem to be a very good person. But if you were ever to see behind them, if you were ever to see what's really going on, you would see the torment and torture. What is up going on? Hey, Honorable VT, what is going on? Thank you so much for the 10-person raid. How's everyone doing? Greetings, Raiders. What's going on?
Raided.
Welcome to the D&D discussions.
Let's go.
We're talking about onboarding in session 0s. Currently, we're talking about Kart's God of Torture and how they would be represented. So hopefully you can join the conversation if you have anything to say about it. But awesome, thank you so much for the raid. Or that, it's either that or the raid's incoming. Maybe we just got told ahead of time, but it did say the raid came in, so I appreciate everybody. But yeah, if you guys have any questions about onboarding or session 0s for D&D or other TTRPGs, let us know in chat. Before we head out, we're coming up to our 3rd hour, so we'll probably stop there. But if you have any questions, let us know. But yeah, so Cart, I don't know if that's what you are thinking, but in terms of how I would look at the God of Torture, I would do it like that. I would do that kind of two-faced mentality where one side seems completely normal, and that's the side that, pulls you in, and what's underneath the surface, what's behind that is the torment that you see, right? And I don't know how else you would represent that, but I think that would be a direction that I would go, is make it kind of that whole, if you see them in a different light, then you see the real like pain and agony.
What are those guys in Doctor Who like, while you're looking at them, like you know them, but when you look away from them, you fully forget that they exist. I like that like duality of nature, like kind of like the Weeping Angels, like not exactly. Like the Weeping Angels are very much like, yeah, they can move when you're not looking at them, but like you're fully aware of them. But it's almost like with these other characters, I forget what they're called. Are they called the Nothing? Is it something like that? I don't know. Whatever it is, when you like that whole mentality, like I remember watching Demon Slayer, and when everyone's going into that weird dimension with all the doors and stuff like that, it's almost like you don't know what's going to be around the corner, what you could be looking at behind you. I could totally see that. Yeah, it's a very interesting place to be, though, for sure.
Yeah. Card just said that apparently we are officially characters in their TTRPG setting.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh, that's very interesting.
Apparently, I'm a shady salesman who occasionally will sell something good. I'll take it. I'll take that. Yeah,
okay.
that feels about right. That feels about a character. You are
Valid.
a wise ex-samurai, but apparently whenever the party leaves, you drop the act, and then you abruptly say deuces. So I'm assuming that you're a wise ex-samurai who has like a surfer dude mentality. So whenever like he has to put on the show of like, yes, I am a wise samurai. I have seen great wars. I will tell you how to win. Goodbye. I will see you tomorrow. Those dudes are totally cool. They're gonna win that fight. Like I kind of feel like that's the idea. It's just like, yeah, those guys are awesome.
Why is that? That makes me think of what's his name? Oh, why can't I remember his real name? Anyways, Neo swapping back and forth between Neo and his role in Bill and Ted. Like it's like 1 second you're Neo and you're like this like monk like wise, and the next second you're like, yeah, bro. That's so wild. That's hilarious.
Yeah, that's cool. Thank you, Car. I appreciate that. That's actually kind of cool. I would totally be down to be the shady salesman. I'm totally fine for that. All right, so what do we got? We got some new people in chat. So what do you guys have in terms of questions? Anybody have any questions for onboarding brand new players, doing session zeros, or any TTRPG questions in general for anybody that's new here? I am Vortex, your host of Misfit Gamer Studios. My co-host over there has no camera at the moment. Their camera's acting up on them, so they're having some difficulties. But yeah, we've been playing TTRPGs for quite some time. I've been playing TTRPGs for over 15 years. I run my own campaign and have been doing so for over a decade called High Point. It is based on Advanced Dungeons & Dragons 2nd edition, at least at its core. And then I've basically been adding and changing and modifying it over the last 10 years into its own thing called High Point. And so, yeah, we do this every Monday and Friday. Monday, we do homebrew reviews that are submitted by the community. So we have done, I think, 150 about, give or take.
Almost. Yep.
And we have tons more. But yeah, we take submissions from the community and we review them. We give them our input and our insights, our knee-jerk reactions. And then we see how compatible it would be to run in our games. And then on Fridays, we do things like this, where we just openly talk, do AMAs, have questions and topics that we chat about, or sometimes we play video games. So that's the Misfit Gamer Studios. Would love to see you guys back next time if this is your vibe. But ask questions, please, if you guys have any interest in our TTRPG settings or in our knowledge of TTRPGs in general, or if you just want to get to know us. We're kind of here. We'll be here probably for another 25 minutes max, unless all of a sudden everybody just bounces out, and then we'll probably call it early. But yeah, I don't know. Did you have any more questions, Kage? I know you said you had a whole list. We've been kind of cutting them down.
Oh, listen,
I don't know if you have any more.
I can always go down for days. Like it's one of those things where I really appreciate what it means to play D&D with people, and I always want to make it as readily available for anyone as possible, which is why I try to be open when a lot of my players are like, hey, can I bring in somebody else? Can I have somebody come? But you know, that whole process is always, like you're talking about, it's so cumbersome is the wrong word, but it's involved, right? And it takes commitment, and so I know a lot of these people are just like, hey, I'm not looking for, you know, a new job. Like, I just want something cool that I can do. You know, making that environment available for people without having to head first into it. So like my mentality has always been like, hey, what do you think is fun? What do you think is cool? And then sometimes literally homebrewing on the spot, like right then and there, what your character can do.
Yeah, no, and that's I think something that more DMs should be a little bit more willing to try out,
and like how it fits into the greater world.
Absolutely, and that's one of the things that I like to do during my character creation process. Not only do I want the players to feel like their character is their own, it's unique, and that it's going to vibe with their play style, but I also want it to be more than what they would ever expect, right? Like, it's easy to read the books and just get an idea of what you're going to be, and it's hard to connect sometimes because everything's pre-written. So one of the things that I've done is within the first 5 levels, I will encourage my players to really try to get an idea of what they want their character to be over time, but I'll throw in some specifics. Like one of the things I really like to add within the first 5 levels is something that I call a excuse me. Excuse me. I like to have my players by the level 5 nail down what I like to call a signature feat. Now, I don't require them to choose it right out the gate, but I usually want them to figure it out by level 5, because it's going to be something that sticks with them and that they'll be able to do better and greater things with over time. But it's essentially a customized feat that doesn't really exist in the book. It can be based off of one, but it's going to be usually based on your backstory, and it's going to be very, very personalized to you. So it can be something from the book, or it can be completely made up on the spot. But the signature feat is something that's not really ever going to be game breaking, but it is going to set you apart from anybody else that tried to do the same character build. And it's going to try to give you something that will help either in combat or in roleplay, or just in the general, I guess, just the general usage of your character, the way that you've designed it. And I really feel like those are important, because feeling like I'm playing something that anybody could play, like anybody can just pick up and beat this exact same thing, doesn't always feel good. Which is why it's very difficult for me to play 5th edition. Is no matter how crazy a build is, it just feels too cookie cutter that I'm just following a template and I'm just following someone else's build. It's very difficult to feel unique. Whereas with 2nd edition, and especially with High Point, the way that I roll it, every decision you make is really building that character uniquely. The way that I've broken out the weapon proficiencies. So you can either choose to specialize in 1 weapon, 2 weapons, or kind of be able to pick up any weapon. But all of those comes with their pros and cons, right? And I feel like that's what sets High Point apart, is I could have a party of 5 fighters and not a single one of them looks the same. And in 5th edition, you might get different subclasses, but you're still going to get you're still going to get a party of fighters all having 5 attack. You know what I mean? Like they're all going to have very, very similar things. They're, other than the few things their subclass gets them, they're all going to have the same amount of attacks. They're all going to have, the same hit die. And in High Point, I just don't like that. I want it to be where if I have 5 players all playing the same class, I want them to be able to be completely different by the end of it, to where you wouldn't even know that they share anything. And I don't feel like you can do that in 5th edition unless you chose different subclasses. But even, again, if you chose all the same subclasses, there's no way of getting around it. That's it. You guys are basically, the best you could do is
interesting, because a lot of the times when PCs meet NPCs and they're trying to like size them up or whatever, a big part of what they do is like, can I tell what they are? Can I tell if they're a fighter? Can I tell if they're a sorcerer? And don't get me wrong, I do that myself. But when you walk into a world like High Point, it's like, like you could tell like this person might use magic, but that's kind of it. Like you don't know if they're actually a sorcerer, you don't know if they're a wizard, you don't know if they're whatever other type of thing can cast magic. Like there's so many different like possibilities of, and they could look like they cast magic and not know how to use magic at freaking all. Like they could be dressed in robes, they can carry a wand, they can do all this stuff, and then not even be a magic user at all. Everything they do is something else. Theoretically, Dove isn't a magic user, right? He does a lot of things that look like magic, that could resemble magic, and people could assume that's what's happening, but 100%. It could be very different. So,
and I think that's great. I think those are tropes that people like don't really play on enough. I mean, imagine a monk artificer. Going back to 5th edition, make a monk artificer. Dress him up like a wizard, right? Give him like a rod, give him robes, and have that mindset to where you do things to where you make them act like a wizard, right? They do the verbal somatical nonsense, and then instead of casting fireball, they throw like the alchemist fire from the artificer side. But no one knows, but again, in game, nobody knows the difference. You want to do poison spray, just have a bottle of, like make a potion of acid, or make a, acid spray or poison spray. Just, you make one of those as an alchemist, and then you do the silly stuff, and then you just literally open the bottle and spray it in their face. But even though it's not the spell, you could pull it off in game story wise. Like everyone thinks that you're a spellcaster, and guess what? Everyone looks at spellcasters as the glass cannon. So let them get too close and then find out that you got hands.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying, like,
Yep,
that
yep,
stuff,
yep.
I thrive on that. I like it when my players go above and beyond. I don't want them to abuse the rules to the best advantage, but I like it when they bend the expectations, because that's when the world really responds most to them.
Yeah.
Is when they give the world something it's not expecting, because that's when I get to play. That's when I get to be the most player. I mean, that's, again, I think that's another thing that sets High Point apart from so many other DMs and so many other campaigns, because nothing's linear, nothing's scripted that far in advance. So everything that you do, I have to account for as we go. You know, the way that you talk to NPCs, the way that you handle them, who you might fight and who might die. All of that I have to be constantly aware of, because I'm not planning for any particular NPC to die. It's not like when you start combat,
Yeah.
I'm not just being like, oh, yep, I knew this person was going to die today. It could have been something I wasn't planning. So I have to be on my toes. But the way that I look at that and the way that I approach that is not as a problem. I don't try to be a DM and say, oh, well, you know, my players constantly do things that ruin my plans. Yes, I put a lot of effort into the things that I do plan. But as a DM, that is part of my job. Just like as a player, part of your job is thinking about how to build your character, right? Thinking about how to build the world is that equivalent. But you've built the character just like I've built the world. Now it's time for your character to be put to the test in that world, just like my world's being put to the test by your character. So when you do things that I'm not expecting, that aren't part of the script or part of the linearness of what I've already planned, that's the same as me giving you a puzzle you weren't expecting, right? That's me giving you a combat you weren't prepared for, and now you have to think on your feet of, I've made this character, but I didn't know this combat was coming. So what am I going to do with the things that I've brought with me to overcome this combat or this problem or this, puzzle? And when y'all do that to me, when you do something I wasn't expecting, when you say something to an NPC I wasn't expecting, when you go talk to someone I wasn't expecting you to, when you fight someone or kill someone I wasn't expecting to, that is, to me, what I as a DM do to your characters when I throw you new information. So that's my game, right? Yes, I've put a bunch of planning into it, but that's not me playing the game. That's me prepping for the game, just like you building a character. But when we're both playing, I think it's kind of dumb if everything I plan for goes right. If every single thing I plan for went exactly as planned, sure, I wouldn't play TTRPGs. I wouldn't be a DM. That sounds boring as hell. To write something and go, okay, you're going to fight this thing, you're going to win, then you're going to unlock this box, and then you're going to get this key that's going to unlock this door to have this fight, then you're going to win, so then you're going to get this treasure to go back to... So if all of that happens, where's the game for me? As a DM, where's the game? I already planned out what you were going to be told, who you were going to talk to, what the treasures were. I'm not playing because I'm watching you roll. If I've already planned the win condition, and I know you're going to win, and I expect you to win, when you win, there was no game for me. It was just okay, yep, you guys did the thing I planned. Let me go plan again.
Exactly as I decided.
Yeah, and that's not fun for me. But when I go in and go, oh, you decided to go attack this guy? Well, does he know about you yet? Oh, he doesn't know about you. This is going to be a surprise. Oh, well, let me see. What's going on with him right now? Well, he has no reason to be overly defensive. I mean, it is just a normal day, so he's actually not going to have all of his minions there. Let me roll to see if he has one of them on campaign. Maybe he'll actually have understaff, right? Like, those are the things I start to plan out, because I didn't know you were going to do that. I didn't want to plan for that. And then when I figure out what's going on in that castle, then I have to be like, okay, I mean, there's a chance you're going to win and kill everything in here, but there's a chance you might die at the front door. And I have to be ready for anything in between. But that's the game to me. Just like when you go up to that castle door and I open it and say, you step in and the lobby's empty, you have no fucking clue what's going to happen the moment you step in that door. And that's the same equivalent when I don't know what you're going to do. Not knowing if my players are going to win a combat or talk their way through an NPC or get the information from the person that doesn't want to give it to them. All of that is always up in the air, because to me, that's what creates the game for everybody. If I think too many DMs, I think, miss that part. And I really do think that's what causes a lot of DMs to burn out, is because they either burn out because the thing they plan never happens, or the thing they plan always happens. And I think both of those are wrong. Because again, think about it as a player. If you made your character and every combat you got to do the thing that you built your character for every time, if every time you won, if every time you didn't have to worry about dying, and every time you leveled up, you got the exact skill you wanted, and then you got to immediately use it in the next combat, and then you leveled up again. Like, realistically, how fun would the game be? Or would it just be a series of you doing the, oh yeah, so I guess that was kind of cool that I planned that. You know? That's how I feel like it is. It's like too many people try to play D&D or just TTRPGs like they play Magic the Gathering. Like, they're gonna create this really cool deck that beats everything, and it's like, it's much better when you build the deck for the lore and for the purpose it was like designed for, not for the purposes of overcoming a very specific obstacle one time.
Sure.
But that's my,
Yeah,
you know,
I don't disagree with that at all.
that's
Yeah.
my 2 cents about it. But that's how I approach it. That, you know, I try to approach it from that mindset of like, I want to give my players the best experience, and I want to make sure that when I put things in my game, they make sense for the players, but I also want them to be a challenge for myself. I want to give my players options that will give me reason to also play the game, right? You know, I don't understand the idea of pre-planning a conversation with an NPC and pre-planning everything they're going to say to then have your players act out that conversation when half the conversation is already written and scripted and you're just waiting for them to say, you know what I mean? It's like, essentially in that case, you're basically playing a analog video game. And that's what it feels like, right? When you have the pre-scripted NPCs, you're basically just acting like a video game. And again, you're not playing a game. You're there to be the display piece. You know, you're the screen at that point. You're literally just telling them what they see.
Yeah.
But you're not playing the game. You're programming a game. That's not the vibe. Not that that's a bad thing. Anybody can have fun with this game any way they choose. But for me,
absolutely,
I want to play this game just as much as my players. And so the way that I do that is I don't plan everything and I leave it very open world. So when my players do crazy ass shit, like Vixie talking her way out of the war that she was about to have a one-on-one with a necromancer, and somehow she talked her way out of it, and now he just disappeared, and now he's off doing some crazy shit. But I wasn't planning that. I've been planning this all-out battle for years at this point. Like 2 years I've been planning for this battle, and she talked her way out of it. She didn't even expect to do that. She wanted the battle, but again, played her character the way her character would be played, and the conversation went the way the conversation did. But I wasn't planning that. I didn't script that conversation. I knew what his mindset was. I knew what his mentality was. I knew what his morale was. I knew everything. And he was ready to throw hands, but she just said enough things to make him think twice. And that's all it takes. But that's the game to me. Just like she didn't know, like I could have pre-planned that, nope, he's going to fight her no matter what. I could have just said that. I could have just said, nope, they're fighting. But she didn't know that. She didn't know that there was a chance to talk her way out. She just chose the dialogue option, and it worked. But to me, that's what makes the game more fun. And I think that also is what makes the game more enticing to my players than other games, because I feel like it really represents how much they control and how much they affect.
It's also more realistic, because if you say he's going to do this no matter what, then you're going to have an answer to literally everything they say that could deter him.
Yeah.
And if he doesn't have an answer, then they're going to have to reconcile in their mind, okay, he just attacked us, even though we gave him the most obvious out, the out that anyone would take. Like, it makes no sense that he would just be like, no, I'm not doing that. That's stupid.
Exactly.
Like why? Like, you would have to be able to explain that out. And like that, again, kind of circular reasoning, everything was back. Like, that breaks immersion so hard, and it makes it really hard for people to feel like they're interacting with a world that actually makes sense, right? Because when you interact with somebody and you say, and you slap them in the face, you expect them to get angry. Like, that's the type of reaction that like generally occurs. Now, if there is a monk who's trained their entire life to like let that stuff go, then you can actually have a reason for it. It's not saying that these things aren't possible, but it's saying that everything, anytime it happens, there's a reason for it. There's always a reason for it. So no,
that's how I feel.
I for sure behind that.
And again, to me, it just makes a very particular, it makes a very specific type of gameplay that I think is appealing to my players. And you will always hear me say that. I don't think that I have the best way of gameplay. It's the best for me, and my players enjoy it. And that's what I strive for, is for my players to enjoy my gameplay and for me to be able to be consistent with that gameplay.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Any final questions? We're coming up to the 3-hour mark. Sounds like a good time to cut it off. It was a fun one. Got some new people showing up, so hopefully we'll see you all again. Hopefully you enjoyed the ending part of this conversation. Every Friday we try to do something a little bit different. What do we got going on Monday? What is the review for Monday?
Monday, I was just looking at that earlier. Let me open that up again real quick. Did I? Oh, that reminds me. I'm pretty sure I updated it in our Discord. If you guys want to join us over there, see what we got going on. We got our leaderboard and all kinds of other things. But we have a subclass coming in from one of our members named Pokeniner called the Runegrave, and this is a warlock subclass.
The Runegrave, interesting. I have no idea. I can't.
Lots of dead things.
There's been a lot of like necromancy recently. That's kind of crazy. I mean, we did just get necromancer class and subclasses to go along with it, so that's pretty impressive.
True.
Also, did you happen to get a chance to finish up Path of the Wereform, the write-up for that?
Oh, that's right. I need to send that to you.
Yes,
yeah.
I'd love to see that.
I can't put that together. Yeah. It's right now. It's in my Obsidian, and I got to move it over to what's it called? Goblin Notebook. And
Sweet. No worries. I mean, no rush on it. I do want to get that posted to TikTok because I'm really happy. I'm really proud with that build. For anybody that's still hanging out, a couple weeks ago we did a what we like to call I guess this was just an actual just creation. We didn't really like, it wasn't really part of like pop culture builder subletting subclass. It was just a general creation.
Yeah.
But we were having a conversation about how there's not really in 5th edition currently a good playable werewolf. So I wanted to change that, and I decided we decided to try and do our best with the new 2024 rule set because we hadn't really played around with it. So we wanted to see what we could do, and we made our own subclass.
Very true.
It is a barbarian subclass called Path of the Wereform, and essentially it is a playable werewolf where you choose a lineage, either feline, canine, avian, or amphibian, and those backgrounds will dictate as you level up what you get. So each one has a like a primary and a secondary ability, and then they have upgraded versions of those, and I think then they have like one final like capstone ability, which all capstones up to being able to basically take transformation whenever you want, have full control of your form. They each have an ability to where you'll have like a partial transformation, so you can get an aspect of them. And then, of course, you get to level up into a full transformation, so you actually get to go full wereform. And it's all tied to your rage. It's actually a really cool build. I'm extremely happy with it. It's one of my favorites that we've done so far as like an official. We've done some campy ones that are a little bit more themed. This one I'm very proud of because it's probably the most universal. It's probably the the closest thing to a standard rule set that you could use, without modifying or really homebrewing. Like you could just drop that into a regular game and I think it would work just fine. So I can't wait till we get that drafted up. I can post it on TikTok and share that around because I'm super happy with that. I think that and Shazam right now are my two favorites that we've done. Yeah, I would say Shazam.
Very cool.
That was part of our pop culture build series, where we take a pop culture icon and make it into a playable D&D character. And we did that with Shazam. Yes, you can officially become Shazam in D&D without homebrewing. This is 100%, and that's how we do pop culture builds. We build them 100% based off of D&D core rule sets. We've done, let's see, Shazam. We did Shazam, which I think is my favorite. We did Goku, so we figured out how you could officially be Goku. We did Johnny Five from Short Circuit. That one was really cool. We did Alucard from Castlevania.
We did. Yeah. Did we do Alucard?
Yeah, we did Alucard. Did we do another one? That's 4. I thought we did one more. I swear we did one more.
we did.
We got to update the list. I know that there's a list in Discord. We got to make sure that that's updated with all the stuff that we created. Yeah, I swear we've created more. We've created more, but yeah. So just some of the stuff. Oh, well, there was a sublet in subclasses, so we did a couple of the other subclasses. I thought we did more pop culture builds though. I just can't remember off the top of my head, but that's fine.
We did. Yeah, channels taking a little second to load.
Yeah, Discord was doing that earlier to me too. Taking
But,
a while to load channels.
Although my internet is just being goofy right now.
All right. Well,
Yeah, not disrespectful.
it's fine. All right. Well, we are almost at the 3-hour mark, so I think we will cut it there. I do want to thank everybody for showing up tonight and having a chat with us. Thank you for all the fantastic questions out there. You guys always have amazing questions for us. We will be back on Monday with a new review, a new subclass coming from Pokeniners, so stay tuned for that. Join us back Monday, same time. That will be at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. But when we start for the review, so come and check us out there. We'll be back also next Friday, though we are going to be playing around with other stream days, so Mondays are always going to be locked in, but we may be shifting Fridays here coming soon. We are still in the planning phase for the lightsaber giveaway stream. So for anybody that came in with the raid that's brand new here, we also do random stuff other than D&D. We will do other random gaming related stuff. So one day I built my own saber. This is my lightsaber, and I had so much fun building this one that I am going to build one for the community, and then we are going to give it away live on stream. So if y'all want to have a custom built lightsaber that won't look like this, it'll actually look a lot more impressive. This is just the prototype to make sure that I understood how to build
We
this.
rolled for it.
But yeah, we had a roll table, so this one is the one that I got, and then the giveaway one has all of its own personal features that it will get, and we will build it on stream, and then we will give it away on stream. So if you're interested in that, stay tuned, give us a follow, and that will be coming up in the next month or two. Because we like to do crazy shit here. But yeah, so I think that's it. I really do appreciate everybody. Thank you so much for the raid. Hope we see you guys later. But otherwise, yeah, I hope you guys had I hope you guys had a great week. I hope you have a fantastic weekend ahead of you. We have a very busy weekend ahead of us. But yes, until we see you on Monday again, have a great rest of your night and have a fantastic weekend, y'all. We'll be back on Monday. Cheers.
Deuces, my friends.